Hope you're doing well. Let me just check the sound. Okay, sounds nice. The title of this video is Kyrie Irving. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that name. I don't normally watch basketball. In trouble because of Black Hebrew Israelites claim. So maybe it's pronounced Irving. I'm really not a sports guy, to be honest. It is on once again. There's so many things that's happening in the news, so maybe people have forgotten the Nick Cannon issue. Nick Cannon had Professor Griff on his show, and Nick Cannon tried to kick knowledge. And Nick Cannon had to apologize. His show was probably pulled off or on hold. But he's good now because he apologized. So let's go through some articles. Here we have the. I'm going to share the links anyway. I'm going to put the titles. It's really a French agency. We call it RFI, but in English you will pronounce it RF. You will pronounce it RFI. As you can see, stated today, less than an hour ago. Now, mind you, the time that you have here, 22:22, that's the time for me, and I'm in Europe, so right now it's 11 or 2300. Okay, so if you click on that link, depending on where you are located, it will it will probably show a different date. I'm sorry, a different time. So the title says Nets Irving says anti-Semitic label not justified. Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving said Saturday he embraces all religions after team owner Joe Tsai condemned his tweet linking to a film Tsai called full of anti-Semitic information. I am an humanist, and I meant no disrespect to anyone's religious beliefs, Irving said on Twitter. The anti-Semitic label is being pushed on me. I'm sorry. The anti Semitic label that is being pushed on me is not justified and does not reflect the reality or truth I live in every day. I embrace and want to learn from all walks of life and religions. Ty said in a Twitter post on Friday that he was disappointed that Irving drew attention to the 2018 film Hebrews to Negroes Wake Up Black America. I'm disappointed that Kyrie appears to support a film based on a book full of anti Semitic disinformation, Tai said. I want to sit down and make sure he understands this is hurtful to all of us. And as a man of faith, it is wrong to promote hate based on race, ethnicity, and religion. This is one of the greatest advertisement that the author could ever have. Such a scandal like that. We're going to see a different article. And I would ultimately play the trailer of the movie because just like you have read It was first a book, and then they made a movie or documentary or presentation, call it however you want. I'm sharing in the live I'm sorry. I'm sharing in the chat the link that I'm sharing right now. It is TMZ. This is slightly more recent. This is like less than 20 minutes ago. Kyrie Irving pushes back on anti-Semitic label after promoting movie. Kyrie Irving is the latest celeb being accused of anti-Semitism after promoting a movie that some say is full of stereotypes and tropes, but the guy's saying he's being misunderstood. Ned Starr got slammed Friday for tweeting a link to a movie called Hebrews Negroes Wake Up Black America, which is on Amazon. They gave the name, they say where you can get it. I mean, that author, he must be so happy because some people say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I wouldn't be surprised if the sales just go so way up, all the way up. It's a controversial piece, to say the least, leaning into extreme ideology from certain factions of Black Hebrew Israelites. And the Black Hebrew Israelites might be happy. They might surf on this situation right there. Now it says Twitter tweet unavailable, so most likely they had the tweet there, but no surprise that it was deleted, with this backlash, this scandal, this controversy. The whole idea behind this is that Black people actually have Jewish roots themselves and are, in fact, the chosen people of God, as opposed to the Jews of European descent. Like we said, highly inflammatory, but it's a train of thought. Now, why is it highly inflammatory? Why is it okay if people of European descent are the chosen people of God, but if if Black people are the, I mean, but it's all good. Now, but it's a train of thought several celebs have embraced in recent years, and this links to an article regarding Nick Cannon, 2020. Was it 2 years ago already for Nick Cannon? Time flies. Nick Cannon dropped by Viacom after anti-Semitic remarks. 2 years already. I would have never thought it was already 2 years ago. So it is a trend of thought several celebs have embraced in recent years. Kanye West, obviously, but also Nick Cannon and Ice Cube. Now the funny thing is that for Ice Cube and also that Nick Cannon link, it only links to those individuals and articles related to them, but not to specific article. That one here, celebs have embraced, it links you to what I've just shown, the article regarding the controversy following Nick Cannon's statements. But anyway, so to name a few, now they're making it seem like it's like I think it's a bit fishy right there. We have 10 people online. How many likes do we have? Only three. That's such a bad look. That's such a bad look. For real. I gotta say. Let me continue. Not only does the Doc Kyrie promoted discuss this, but it also reportedly spreads conspiracy theories, including the claim that white Jews, as it were, perpetuated the slave trade and are, by and large, in control of the media/banking industries, among other accusations. Many different people have participated in the slave trade, including Jewish people. But here the word used was perpetuated. So I think it is used on purpose, but hey. It's a lot of the same stuff that got Kanye in trouble, and Kyrie's been receiving much of the same backlash, so much so that his boss, net owner Joe Tsai, said something. He condemned Kyrie's tweets as hateful writing. I'm disappointed that Kyrie appears to support a film based on a book full of anti Semitic disinformation. I want to sit down and make sure he understands this is hurtful to all of us. And as a man of faith, it is wrong to promote hate based on race, ethnicity, or religion. Joey adds, this is bigger than basketball. Kai defending himself Saturday. We have Kai, we have Ye, saying he meant no disrespect to anyone's religious beliefs and adding the anti Semitic label that is being pushed on me is not justified and does not reflect the reality of truth I live in every day. No word on whether Kyrie's tweet is going to cost him playing time via suspension or another form of punishment. The NBA hasn't publicly addressed the controversy yet. Now we're going to have a look at ESPN. He's on right now. The link in the chat. We have 11 people now. How many likes? Only 5 likes. It's two more than previously, but we can do better than this. But I understand some people are lurking. 12 people online. How many likes now? Still 5. Just hit that like button. It doesn't care. Even if you're lurking and you want to catch me sleeping, hit the like button so I can get to the nitty gritty without having to state that. Just play it there we go. We have 7 likes now. Play it incognito or incognito, like a ludicrous album title, if I'm not mistaken. That's one of these album's title. Just play the game. Act like you're down, you're cool. I don't even have to worry about the trolls in the chat now. So now let's see what ESPN has to say. Let's condemn Kyrie Irving's promotion of anti-Semitic film. Um, this is the same thing. So I'm passing. I read that also. So as Rolling Stone initially reported in an article earlier Friday, so TMZ, ESPN, Rolling Stone, dang. Um, Irving promoted a movie called Hebrews and Negroes, Wake Up Black America. That, as the magazine points out, is stuffed with anti Semitic tropes. Irving posted a tweet Thursday that linked to the film's Amazon page. The movie, which was released in 2018, is based on a 2015 book by the same name. Now, I've read there it is. The Brooklyn Nets strongly condemn and have no tolerance for the promotion of any form of hate speech. The team said in a statement Friday, we believe that in these situations, our first action must be open, honest dialogue. We want those, including the ADA, Anti Defamation League, who have been supportive during this time. Now, I don't know if I misread, but we thank those, including the ADL, Anti Defamation League, who have been supportive during this time. Irving, who has not addressed the decision to promote the book and movie, participated in the team's shoot around Saturday and is expected to speak with reporters after the game against the Indiana Pacers. Nets guard Joe Harris said he was not aware of the controversy surrounding Irving. As for Irving's attitude during the Saturday walkthrough, Harris said it was business as usual. And before I play the trailer, there's one more article, which will actually be Rolling Stone. Who's that? Is this one? Okay, that's a trailer. All right. And this one, I don't need no more. Let me share the link in the chat. Hey, what about Sister RP? Greetings to you, Sister. Dua for, well, Hotep Seneti. Dua for, or thank you for becoming a member of the channel. For those who wonder, only members can post on the chat now. You see, only members can post in the chat. Here's the link to join. And you also have the link to get on the panel, but you must show your face as usual. Otherwise, just use the chat, for those who want to. So, how many likes do we have now? Seven still? Dang. Let me read this article. I might skip through some of the things that have already been stated. So, Kyrie, Kyrie Irving boosts anti Semitic movie peddling Jewish slave ships. The video is based on a venomously anti Semitic book which asserts that many famous high-ranking Jews have admitted to worshiping Satan or Lucifer. Now, this documentary or movie, as they call it, might talk about the Talmud. Now, there's a Babylonian Talmud and there's another Talmud. So, you have some stuff that's like, kind of swept under the rug, but I'm going to let people who are interested in this, to dwell on it. But the tone of the article, we can already guess just by the title and the subtitle. Hours before another Brooklyn Nets loss on Thursday, noted freethinker and basketball player Kyrie Irving took to Twitter to boost a movie and book, Hebrews to Negroes, stuffed with anti Semitic tropes. The 2018 film was directed by Ronald Dalton Jr. and based upon his 2015 book of the same name. A description for the film states that it uncovers the true identity of the children of Israel, while a similar one for the book reads, since the European and Arab slave traders stepped foot into Africa, blacks have been told lies about their heritage. Both suggest Hebrews to Negroes espouse ideas in line with more extreme factions of the Black Hebrew Israelites, which have a long history of um, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, and especially anti-Semitism. The Black Hebrew, I'm sorry, the Black Hebrew Israelite movement is fairly broad, comprising organizations that, per the Anti-Defamation League, operate semi-independently. The movement generally coalesces around the notion that Black people are the real descendants of the ancient Israelites, with more extreme factions claiming that Black people have been robbed of their identity as being God's chosen people via the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's those extremist sects that have often parroted classic anti Semitic tropes, like claiming European Jews, often referred to as the synagogue of Satan, wield outside. Wield outside control over society, especially in industries like banking and the media. They've also pushed anti Semitic claims that Jews are responsible for slavery and the effeminizing of black men. At one point in a purported documentary Irving shared, Dalton, who also narrates the film, brings up the real truth about the slave trades. He claims that when teaching slavery, schools don't mention the involvement of the Catholic Church, East African or Islamic slave traders, or the Jewish slave ships that brought our West African Negro or Bantu ancestors to slave ports owned by Jews. Immediately after, Dalton pivots to the mass media, calling it the biggest tool of indoctrination, brainwashing, and propaganda that the world has seen, and adding that it's been helping Satan deceive the world for centuries. To back up his claim, Dalton utilizes a fabricated quote that's been a staple of anti Semitic literature for decades. The quote, which details the supposed control Jews have over every facet of society, is attributed to Howard Rosenthal, an aide to former New York Senator Jacob Javits, who was killed in a terrorist attack in Istanbul in 1976. The quote, or quote unquote quote, first appeared 2 years later, published in a pamphlet called The Hidden Tyranny by a man named Walter White Jr., who appeared to make up an entire interview with Rosenthal to push this anti Semitic theory. In introducing the phony quote, Dalton pointedly describes Rosenthal as an Ashkenazi Jew. Hebrews to Negroes, the book contains even more instances of anti Semitism. The book's fourth chapter, When Did Racism Towards Blacks Start? Starts falsely suggesting that anti black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. Western education and religion tries to teach the world that blacks are cursed with their skin color by the curse of Ham/Canaan. This is also taught in European Jewish documents and in the teachings of the Talmud book in Judaism. Some can say that it established the base for black racism even before the KKK. Another section wonders if there is any connection between Lucifer, Satan, Freemasonry, and Judaism, and includes the claim, interesting enough, in earlier years, many Jews and European Scottish/York Freemasons have claimed that they worship Satan or Lucifer. They might be talking about Baphomet, but many famous high ranking Jews and Freemasons have written books admitting to this. The quote also the book also quotes the infamous anti-Semitic host of protocols of the Elders of Zion. It includes a laundry list of industries, from banking to book publishing, that European Jews allegedly dominate before Satan, using control of our money and the mass media. The European Jews gain control of our thinking. Elsewhere, the book refers to the Jewish controlled news media. When asked for comment by Nets Daily, the Brooklyn Nets replied, the Brooklyn Nets strongly condemn and have no tolerance for the promotion. Okay, I've read that before. Now, the Nets owner, also I've read that, and this is the Twitter message. On Saturday, Irving dropped the ultimate non-apology, claiming that him being labeled anti-Semitic is unjustified, even though he literally shared works that are clearly anti-Semitic. Now, there was an article which says that he was a flat earther. Maybe he still is. And there was also another thing that he has claimed in the past, but I forgot what it was. The broad Black Hebrew Israelite movement, as a Southern Poverty Law Center notes, has its roots in Black Judaism, which began in the South during the late 1800s. The movement's popularity and influence can be tied to its key tenets of self-empowerment and economic independence, while rhetoric emphasizing the biblical theme of an oppressed nation being led to a promised land informed Black activists, though right up through the speeches of Martin Luther King Jr. The SPLC goes on to note that while the belief that Black people were descended from the ancient Israelites was always part of Black Judaism, that didn't necessarily mean that other people deserve condemnation or attack. Nevertheless, the movement, like many movements, had its extremists who paired those original messages of self-empowerment with more hateful and anti-Semitic rhetoric as the Black Hebrew Israelite movement evolved during the 20th century. As for Irving, long before tweeting out Hebrews and Negroes, he appeared to tweet something in line with Black Hebrew Israelite thinking back in March 2021. The statement wasn't overtly anti-Semitic, rooted more in that core notion that Black people are the real descendants of the Israelites. You better stop playing with history, he wrote. You better stop lying to our people, Europe and America. You better stop feeding BS to the innocent children of God. The original people are returning, and it's time God will intervene at every corner of the earth. Irving, of course, has been tied to plenty of other conspirational thinking over the years. For his recent anti-vax skepticism, that's the thing I could not remember, to his curious flat earth comments a few years ago. At the beginning of October, Irving even shared an old video of Alex Jones railing against the so-called New World Order. I mean, damn, I mean, those things I've been warning you about for years, you know what I'm saying? Alex Jones was first ordered to pay close to $50 million, something of that bracket. And recently it has been reported that he was ordered to pay like, I think it was 56 millions that he was ordered to pay in the first place. And then very recently, there was another ruling that said that he's supposed to pay 940 million. So basically, with the two rulings combined, it's like $1 billion. It's going to be difficult for him to make his paper. Now, P wrote, since when aren't white Jewish people white people? And aren't the most anti-Semitic people on planet Earth other white people? Did not did they well, didn't they do the Holocaust? Oh, there's another message I've missed. This anti-Semitism madness is a present day Red Scare, and it's so sad to see more black men being ruined by the usual suspect. We have 15 people online. How many likes do we have? Still 7. Oh, let me refresh the page. Cannot believe it. Yeah, still 7. Well, you know what? I ain't gonna play the trailer if it's like that. No. There's another stuff that I wanted to share. Uh, but I mean, you might as well go on Alex Jones channels and whatever, wherever he is now. You know what I'm saying? When it's Alex Jones, you guys. I mean, no, that doesn't fly. We have 16 people online and 7 likes. It doesn't add up. Just hit that button. I can call it a day, do a part 2, part 3, or just not do anything at all. But okay, we have 8. That's better. So that's half. Let's do a little bit more. You gotta respect yourself in life. I respect myself. The kind of dude is gonna be called the B word and not object to it. Don't get me twisted, brothers and sisters. 9, that's better. Come on. We have 19 people online right now, but only 9 likes. Okay, 10, that's better. And it's just such a shame that every time I have to say the same things. Like I've been saying for years, after the video is uploaded, just make sure that you put a comment. It doesn't have to be a paragraph. It doesn't have to be a sentence. It can be a word. It can be HTTP, whatever that is. But you always have to remind people of having those things that should be reflexes. And people tell you, you should write a book. And no disrespect to anybody that has ever suggested that in the past. I know they didn't mean wrong, but I'm being practical. The numbers don't add up. The numbers don't add up. So 17 people right now. How many likes? 11. Okay, I'm gonna continue. But thank you for hitting that like button. I shouldn't really have to say that, but I'm just saying it for the record. Thank you for hitting that like button. So I'm gonna finish reading this article and then I'm gonna play the trailer and then share the other things I wanted to share with you. Um, can you imagine Kanye West, Alex Jones, and Kyrie Irving, doing social media or whatever. Twitter now is owned by Elon Musk. For those who didn't know, Elon Musk is the owner of Twitter. It's official now. You know, so they might be good on Twitter because the endeavor is supposed to be freedom of speech. Irving's ostensible promotion of Hebrews to Negroes comes at a moment when Black Hebrew Israelite thinking and the anti-Semitism espoused by its most extreme sects have been garnering more attention thanks to Kanye West. The rapper's recent string of comments about Jewish people has been in line with extreme Black Hebrew Israelite thinking, such as his claim that you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone whoever opposes your agenda, and his assertion that he actually can be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jews also. Oh my goodness. Nick Cannon, Kervin, Kanye, the misinformation, man. The misinformation. All right. Let me play the trailer now. Oh, snap. It's okay. I'm going to share. Keep the comments going, Senate RP. I'm going to read them. And for those who don't know, because we have 15 people online now, only members can post messages in the chat. So you have the link to join if you want to. Otherwise, you have the link to get on the panel. That's the second and last link in that message here, which is pinned, which means that it remains at the top. So anybody can get on the platform as long as they don't mind showing their face. That is a requirement. Now let me play the trailer. First, I will share the link. So know where to find it. Internet Movie Database. I'm gonna mute my. Well, I don't need to mute my mic.
You never thought this day would come, and no, it is not a dream. It's very real. We ain't playing games no more. We taking back what is rightfully ours. Hebrews to Negroes, wake up Black America. Judah, it's time to go.
There's two things that I've noticed. There's one depiction of people who are labeled Arabs, and I've shared that before. And of course, there's a depiction of people with allegedly Bantu knots or kinky hair. Uh, I've shared so many times how it is not the case. That it does not represent black people. Some people use, Gudea, King of Lagash or Prince of Lagash. But I don't want to get into that like that. I'd rather wait till somebody comes and claims that, because on the trailer we did not have the reference. Okay, so we have 15 people online. How many likes do we have so far? 12. That's better. That's better. So what did RP write? And I read that one. This is major distraction from how pitiful life is about to get. I suspect the earth has been degraded so much and humanity at large is getting more deceived. No, decrepit, my bad. When will we have enough? Now, there's something that I want to share with you, brothers and sisters, because I was planning to make a video entitled All It Takes is a Compliment. And I was hesitant about entitling it. Is it how black people were trapped by the Abrahamic faith? You will get why I was thinking about these titles. But before I do, I want to play something that doesn't bother much people. And I'm talking about black people. They like to complain when some people say stuff. But when they are told that their physical appearance is the essence of ugliness, they don't have anything to say. So to me, they are more like Power Rangers rather than revolutionaries. But to each his own.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair, because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you so busy frying it. That's why you're so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion.
And we're back. We have lift every voice. Welcome to you. You are muted right now. Feel free to speak.
Oh, peace, 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 brother. Can you hear me? I didn't even know
Please,
I was on.
please, I can. Yeah, I just actually put you on the panel while the video was still playing. But yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Oh, yeah, there's some background noise, but you're on the street. But yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm having some audio issues right now because I'm out on the street. I don't know if you can hear me right.
I
But
can
I
hear
just
you
wanted to
actually.
quickly say, that the brother didn't do anything wrong. You see, all these accusations, there's nobody that got hurt and there's no property that got damaged. Okay, there's no crime that was committed by Kyrie simply by posting something on his IG. Nothing. And so this is becoming a problem because now there's no due process. All these folks have to do now is to point at somebody and say, hey, I don't agree with what you did, so therefore you're going to lose billions of dollars. This is crazy. We live in a country where there's due process. If somebody supposedly did something wrong, well, guess what? There's a proper channel. You take them through the process where, they're innocent until you prove them guilty. And then you can take away their money, their job, and things like that. But right now, look at what's happening. That's not what's happening. You have a group of people. The minute they get offended, there goes your job, there goes your money, there goes your bank accounts. That's crazy. So I'm not even going to get into the particulars and whatever. People already know what's going on. But it's gotten to a point where, I don't know if there's going to be any way back because that Constitution protects every community. It's not for just one community. So if they tear that community, if they tear away the due process of the Constitution, it's going to turn it and backfire on them. Our people do not spend time trying to, come up with plots to hurt those people. You know what I'm saying? We don't sit around doing none of that. We're trying to survive. We're trying to do everything except that. But they're always accusing us. And there's no history of us having ever done anything to that community. I actually spoke to a Jewish dude one time. I said, yo, do you feel that my community is a threat to yours? Do you feel that we're a physical threat to your community? You know what he said? He said no. Because that's the fact. We've never had a history in this country where we went and bombed their communities. But we know who bombed their communities before, and we've had our communities bombed. But I'm not going to go too long. I just want to, at least speak up for the brother Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like I'm a fan of his, but on a matter of principle, he didn't do anything wrong. And so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to chill. Thanks for letting me on, brother.
Oh, okay. You can say, there's nobody else in the chat now. If you don't mind me asking, are you in America? Oh, can you hear me, brother? Lift every voice. Okay, wow. He's still on the panel, but he's muted. He has removed the camera. So, okay. Well, if anybody else want to get on the panel, then feel free. I wanted to ask the brother if he's a Hebrew Israelite. We have 20 people online. How many lives do we have now? 14. Okay, that's better. Now, RP reacted to the brother's statements that indeed no harm was done And she added that due process was never intended for us. We have video footage of people shooting black men and killing them, and there's not a similar outcry. Now, if Kyrie Irving indeed committed a crime, then, like the brother said, guilty, I mean, innocent until proven guilty. What is the crime that he has committed? You know. All right. So, Deuteronomy. I could paraphrase it, but it's best to go to the text directly. All right. There it is. So let's share Deuteronomy. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this. Bible Gateway. I'm going to share the link in the chat. In the meantime, RP wrote, the Jewish people I have spoken with believe they have suffered the most and are still suffering, and we just aren't up to par with society. So here I've shared the Bible Gateway. This is Deuteronomy 28. So the last verse, which is number 68, says, the Lord will send you back in ships to Egypt on a journey I said you should never make again. There you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Deuteronomy is the book used mainly by Hebrew Israelites to try to claim that this is a prophecy regarding black people. If there are any Hebrew Israelites, they are welcome to get on the panel so we can talk about it. They are too shy to show their face. They can, become members and participate in the chat. Or if they want, later on, after the live stream is over, then they can just type in their comments. Now, first of all, it says that the Lord will send it back to Egypt, not to America, which surely did not exist at the time those texts were written. Then it says, you will offer yourselves for sale, which is not the same as the transatlantic slave trade. We don't have any records of Africans offering themselves to be sold and taken away on that journey of the Middle Passage. And it says, but no one will buy you. Now, during the transatlantic slave trade, enslaved Africans were bought, purchased. So we already have 3 points that goes against a so-called prophecy regarding black people being sold and taken, kidnapped and taken to the new world in order to be enslaved. People want to be so much into the Abrahamic game that they will go out of their way to be reaching. We talked about physical slavery and mental slavery. People uphold those literatures written by non-blacks in the first place, and they uphold those literatures so much that they have that huge need to insert themselves, to insert black people into the mix. Do we have evidence of enslaved Africans being brought to the Americas with Hebrew names, practicing Hebrew religion? If that's the case, how many? Let me show you something else. For all purposes, I'm sharing the link to that TikTok page in the chat. And I'm going to start with a video entitled Mr. Jones' Cotton Plantation, Part 1.
Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day 1.
One day, Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men." Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more would you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled. "In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want," Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. "For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge," said Mr. Smith, "since he is the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones Plantation." He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. "And this shall be our motto," Mr. Smith announced. "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men." Finally convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Day 2.
"We all want this plantation to do well," Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, "so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants, the plantation won't produce anything. This experiment will fail and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors to manage different aspects of the operation, to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job, to make sure that the rules are followed, and so on. The rest of you may head out to the fields to start your first day of work as free men." Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that time...
I hope he didn't play twice, but I have a feeling he might have, because the video is 2 minutes long and it might have been 4 minutes since I played. So if that was the case, then I'm sorry. I'm going to play the part 2 of Mr. Jones' Plantation.
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. "I have an unpleasant duty to do today," he said. "Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit. That is against the rules. That is stealing. For that, Charles must be punished." 2 men tied Charles to the whipping post. "I take no joy in this," Mr. Smith continued, But you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail and we will all suffer. The whip cracked against Charles' back. But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits. A young man named Samuel stepped forward. But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before? How can you say that? Mr. Smith asked. I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel? Well, no, he answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude, Mr. Smith answered. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seemed satisfied and headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton. Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same. The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto. We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all.
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face.
And now I'm going to play part 3 and the last part of Mr. Jones' cotton plantation.
One day, Mr. Smith announced, Samuel is asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin. Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. I was excited when all this started, he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing has changed. We're all still slaves. There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything. They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all of the work and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system, they forced it on us, they control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time is up, Samuel? Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, two supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience. The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those who do not must be punished. The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel had died.
You hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years? That sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? You know, like, it's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks.
So you've heard it. But then on that same TikTok account, you have this video right there talking about the Hebrew Israelites were black.
Now that we know the Hebrews are black, my previous video explains this and looked more like this. And not this. You're probably wondering who changed the Bible.
Not this one, that one. Who are the Jews the Bible talks about?
Who are the Jews the Bible talks about? This is some artwork found in Egypt. They have African skin color.
Now, back in like 2008 or 2009, there was a guy known as Mighty Hebrew who was on Senator's channel, and he showed a A4 size paper with a print of the depiction at the top. And back then, I refuted that fake information. So maybe we have some Hebrew Israelites in the place to be. If this shows Hebrews or Jews, please give me the source. Please give me the reference. I'm curious. And the people who present stuff like that, because it is some allegations tied to the Abrahamic literature, in this case, the Bible, it gets some play. That is not historical. That is not factual. It is science fiction.
There is a history behind these. Look at their hair. But let's start in Deuteronomy 20.
You heard that? Look at their hair. And you know the funny thing, brothers and sisters? Now, Runoko Rashidi has passed away. He has also made that claim, but this hair being so-called kinky hair, kinky nuts, you know. Look at the guy behind those two there. Look at his beard and his hair. Don't you see the same nuts? Don't you see the same roundish stuff? So you mean to tell me the guy behind him has some kinky or kinky hair or nappy hair or as well? Some parts of his beard and hair is just straight or non-nappy and other parts is nappy. Does that even make sense to anybody? When will that stop? Just on that depiction alone. And I have shown many other depictions where we can see this thing on Caucasians, non-black people. That's barely picture scholarship right there. Barely. And this is what our people fall for. Why? Because the people who make those claims tie to the Abrahamic belief system. People uphold those writings written by non-blacks so much that they want to be in the mix at all costs. It might be small on your screen, but I've shared the link in the chat so you can have a look for yourself.
28 that talks about blessings and curses for obedience and disobedience.
And mind you, it says that starts in Deuteronomy 28, the same old thing.
Verse 68 says, "And yet God shall bring you back to Mitzrayim, Egypt in ships, by a way of which I said to you, you are never to see it again, and there you shall be sold to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one to buy." Pause to read. Deuteronomy 4 verses 23 to 31.
You know what? I'm done. I don't know how many more minutes there is to it, but I'm just done, man. These arguments, these claims, man. It's just pure science fiction. Let me see what our sister RB wrote. She wrote, "This is the ideology jobs right now, modern day employment, the book according for slavery." Talks about this tactic in detail. She also talks about the movie Mandalay as well. And she said, "While animals follow the unwritten rules of nature, rest is to know." All right, I kind of stated my piece. So I'm going to wait a little bit to see if some people want to get on the panel. Once again, the link is at the top. It remains at the top of the chat because it is pinned. So as you go on the chat, you only see you see my picture, then my username to the right, and then to the right you see only members can post in the, and you have a blue background. If you click on it, and I will show you actually, because some people might not know. That's the one actually. That's the one there. So this is how you do. It is this live stream. You see on the right, that's the chat. And at the top, you see, you click on it, boom. You have the first link for those who want to join the channel. When you click on it, what happens? You have this, join this channel, supporter, $2.99 a month. That's for those who want to, okay, no, it opens in a new window, so you don't see it. Now, and there, the second link is the one to get on the panel. So whoever wants to get on the panel just has to click on that link. So I'll wait just in case. Some people might say, well, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I represent. I was going to get an panel, but, he left. I was going to give him that work. I was going to put him in the dirt. I put him in the dirt. Brother said that about me. After he said that the ancient Egyptians were Caucasians. Because he was hyped up by a butler. A former Kemetic dude who is now a butler has congratulated a black man for stating publicly that the ancient Egyptians were Caucasian. We have Kwame Mentuhotep who made a donation of $20. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. He wrote Abibi Fahodi, brother. RP wrote, interesting show, Shaka. The plantation story got me mad though. Well, I was about to make some analogy between the plantation story and how black people are regarding those Abrahamic belief system. Now race doesn't exist anymore. It did exist for hundreds of years. Now it doesn't exist anymore. And it feels like some people feel like, well, you're included, you're in the game. Or in our books, there's mention of, the king of Ethiopia. There's a mention of the queen of Sheba. In our literature, there's a mention of, and then some people are so happy, yeah, we are in the mix. And some people took it up a notch. Well, actually, that was us. This is our story. Actually, this is us. Because in Deuteronomy, this is a prophecy. Who said it was a prophecy talking about black folks? It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. But people want to push science fiction over facts, over history. There's a brother, I don't need to say his name, came live on the platform and said that a brother of his, and the brother is a Hebrew Israelite, so a fellow Hebrew Israelite, brother of his, talked about some black Hittites. It's been a little while now. It's been a good minute. People make claims all the time. All the time. When it's time to substantiate, we don't see much. And that's the conscious community. And that's this religious organization as a whole. Remember, not long ago, I told you about the book that says the Bible is black history. You even have an institute about that now. I don't know how well it is popping, if it is popping, but it seems that as a people, we are so tied, so glued to this Abrahamic literature. And with Islam, it's the same as well. You have the PhD in Islamic study or PhD in Near Eastern study who came up with the same stuff. With Prophet Muhammad and his family being black, not just black, but jet black. He doesn't talk about this anymore. He got smashed. That's why he backed down after he challenged me to a debate. He probably thought that I would be afraid. It was like, damn, he accepted. How am I going to get out of this? And he backed down because I quoted some people who happened to be not black. He quoted some white people. I'm not going to debate him anymore. Can you believe it? A PhD. So with Islam, we have the same phenomenon. Well, some black people who claim that uh, the Arabs of the 7th century were black people. Well, the Hebrew Israelites who claim that the Hebrews, the Jews, the people of Israel, Canaan, Palestine were black people. And you have also some Christians who ultimately claim, but you have less though, that Jesus was black and the inhabitants of Palestine or Canaan were black people. Some are being slick and say, well, those people, they're not white. They were not white skin. Or some white say they were not Europeans, which is really a no brainer. But A lot of people like to say, well, they're not white. They were not white then. If you look at the geographic location, they were not. So what? Just them not being white doesn't mean that they were black. Sad thing, we have depictions of uh, inhabitants of regions surrounding, neighboring Egypt. It does not match at all with so called black people. So, what are we going to do? Because there is such something called the conscious community where all those science fiction claims are being spread like it was facts. And they are debating over science fiction. We are not improving as a people, are we? Do we have any Hebrews who are like who want to come here and break down the blackness of the Canaanites? A lot of them are smart. They know to holler at neophytes. They know that. It's better for them to holler at neophytes. Oh, 21 likes. I like that. I appreciate that, brothers and sisters. I have 17 people watching right now. 21 likes is a good look. There's a sister who lives in Trinidad and Tobago informed me that being a member does not work in her country. What a shame. So, out of all those people who are always liver than her, who always have so much knowledge, ready to kick it, nobody wants to get on the panel and break down these things with us. I'm not surprised, but I'm asking just in case. I want people to see that on a regular basis, brothers and sisters. You will see that they talk a good game, but they cannot maintain. It's going to be a new day. It's going to be a new day. They had their time, they had their run, and they know on which platform they will be welcome with their fictional stories and fairy tales. We're going to get some clarity. We will. Now, with the plantation videos that I have played, I did not make this video, I just played them. At one point, there's a mention of some selected people to be some kind of managers or overseers. And it reminds me of some people who spend their time disrespecting people who follow traditional African beliefs, including the Kemetic way of life. It really makes me it really makes me think about those people who are most likely paid. See, if people see that it's beneficial to have black people into mental slavery, so it's going to be easier and more convenient to send other black people to try to deter them from freeing themselves of mental slavery. It's just more convenient. And we have seen even some people who used to claim Kemet. They have jumped ships. Oh, great. Well, I'll wait. Sister RP said I can join in 20 minutes. I'll wait. I'm going to have to flow for 20 minutes. But if somebody else want to get on the platform, then feel free. Oh, battery level. My headset is low, so I'm going to have to plug it. There are some black people who want to follow traditional African ways of life. And some individuals spend their time disrespecting them for that, which means that belief systems are not equal, religions are not equal. If black people follow the Abrahamic belief systems, it's okay, it's accepted. But if it's something other than that, it is a problem. People are trying to disrespect us. I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with that at all. Look at the hair. So it appears that so far, besides the 12 tribe chart, which is also science fiction, I mean, if anybody's aware of some historian, some people have degrees in history, let's say PhD, that deals or agrees with the 12 tribe chart, let me know. And I can just write some names of biblical tribes and tie it to some population, contemporaneous population. Anybody can do that. It's just like those drawings in Ethiopia. I spoke to a I spoke to a brother who actually thought that this has some relevance. He didn't know that these drawings are just dated way much later than the events uh, surrounding those biblical characters and patriarchs. So it appears that besides the 12 tribe chart, the two main things used by Hebrew Israelites to claim blackness of Jews slash Hebrews slash Israelites of Canaan is Deuteronomy. And look at their hair. How thorough is that? That's not thorough at all. And they have the nerve to want to discriminate. And we have depictions from people of ancient Egypt, just like the one behind me. But there's plenty of other ones. And I have two videos about that. Black Ancient Egyptians and Black Ancient Egyptians Part 2. Oh yes, we have the depictions. No make believe, no made up stuff. Archaeology, records, artifacts. Oh, I'm not speaking too loud. Archaeology, records, artifacts. It's kind of loud though. It's midnight, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit. I have another 15 minutes to flow before our sister joins us. Where are the Hebrew Israelites? Where are you, brothers and sisters? Well, you know what? Just so that you know, and I have to repeat that because sometimes you live stream and you don't know who's stumbling across your video or your channel. But when it comes to this video, if you can hear me right now, just know that whenever I am live streaming, you are free to talk about anything you want, whether it's something that I have said or that I have shared or that I have claimed in the past, years ago, months ago, weeks ago, days ago. It's fine. So bear in mind that whenever I'm live streaming, you can consider it as a question and answers or free talk opportunity as well. So if you don't want to talk about the Hebrew Israelites, you want to talk about the so-called black Arabs, feel free. If you want to talk about so-called black Jesus, feel free. If you want to talk about languages, about history, about current events, feel free. I don't mind. Because I'm not going to be like those conscious community frauds who share falsehood, inaccurate information, science fiction. And when you bring that up, they say, "Oh, that's not a topic. It's not a topic." I mean, you have lames inventing degrees, man. When people are engaging in fraudulent activities, when they are being frauds, whoever supporting them, it's fishy. Why will people support and defend frauds unless they are cool with being fraudulent? It's a red flag to me. But for some people, it's entertainment anyway. For a lot of people, it's entertainment. For a lot of people, it's not something serious. For a lot of people, they are gonna listen to those frauds, Pan African frauds, conscious community frauds, and they're gonna have some talking points. So when they go to work and they're on lunch break, then they're gonna, make those talking points to try to sound smart, but they're not about anything at all. Some are going to use the talking points to sound smart at work during lunch break. Others will try to sound smart in the street or in the bar, and others are going to try to sound smart and try to get some punani. Simple as that. So for those who don't know, I have a video entitled White Semites Black Awakening. You will find the link in the description of this video, just like you find it in the description of most of my videos. And in that video, White Semites Black Awakening, I claim that the Semites were not black, that people who inhabited Canaan were not black, that people who inhabited um, Arabia were not black, the people who inhabited the Levant, the Near East, Sumer, Akkad, Mesopotamia were not black. And if you wonder about the time period from 2500 BC until today, that's what I state, that's what I claim, that's what I argue. My stance is that all those people who talk about black Semites during that time period are wrong, inaccurate. They love to talk about, oh, you know what I'm saying, back in the days, at the time of Pangea, they talk about millions of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And we don't have any way of verifying the ethnicity of the inhabitants of these areas. But from 2500 BC, we have artifacts, we have depictions. So it's time to wake up, brothers and sisters. It is time to wake up. We don't need to continue with the misinformation. We have 20 people online. Our sister will come in 20 minutes. No, not 20. Yeah, 20 minutes. Well, I said 15 earlier. No, in 18 minutes, actually. Where are the Hebrew Israelites? Where art thou? Where art thou? Almighty Hebrew Israelites who seek knowledge every day, all day, every day. Why do you always focus on the neophytes? Sister will be there in less than 10, and that's lovely. Where are those people who teach that the arrows are black? Where are they? Why did they never show up here? They know where to show up and kick that knowledge, that so-called knowledge, that fiction. They know better. But it's all good. I'm just saying for the record. I'm not going to beg them to come. You've been lied to, brothers and sisters. Black men, black women, black children, you've been lied to by these conscious community people, by these Pan-Africans. You've been lied to for years, for decades. They have not taught you information. They have taught you mainly science fiction. And they have the nerves to disrespect Kemetic people. They have the nerves to disrespect people who deal with Kemet, Emma. Why? Because one thing that they have in common is the Abrahamic belief system. So they don't have a problem having an alliance to go against Kemet. As a matter of fact, here's what a PhD had to say publicly.
The railway never being built. Road Kemet garbage. If you want to get off sensitive, come on, go ahead. About blacks, conquering blacks. Throw Maya in the trash can. Throw out this rock, the slave making God away.
Now, here's what a lame fraud said when he came on my platform because he knew better. But outside of my platform, he's dissing Kemetic people all the way, and he's been doing so for 2 years. But on my platform, look how he behaved.
Kemet is the greatest empire in history. You don't need to compare. If anybody want to compare, like, oh, we trying to get to Kemet level. Kemet is number one. So we comparing it to other religions is basically saying, hey, we could compare with them. No, we got 3,000 years of documented history. Show me a culture that could show you that. Sumer can't do it. Mesopotamia can't do it. Assyria can't do it. Persia can't do it. The Greeks can't do it.
This snake. My platform, oh, Kemet is the best. Kemet is number one. You have to. But outside of my platform, it's a whole nother speech. Now, here's what a butler has said. This current year of 2022, for those who wonder for the future generation, this is what the so-called conscious community has been teaching. Listen up.
I don't believe in old Egyptian gods. I don't believe in that stuff. I wasn't even taught that bullshit, right? I'm the one who bangs against the Kemetics. I bang against them and they can't get through me because the gods that they worship, right, were born from another group of thinking, right? So you can't come with me with no goddamn Heru or no other that bullshit. Show it to me in the primary, show it to me in writing, show it to me in the period. You're making the bullshit up.
And this is the guy who said that Horus is not the son of Osiris. This is the guy who said that Horus is Greek. And he bangs on Kemetic people. That's a conscious community, man. Oh boy. Now you have other stuff coming out of Pan-Africans in the conscious community. And if you have never heard it, it's not a hoax, it's real. Those are public teachings.
Allah, and this is where I would disagree with Brother Shaka, is actually in the Egyptian text.
Pan-Africans of the so-called conscious community teach that Allah is in the Egyptian text. Not all of them, but they accept it for the most part. What else do they accept as teachings?
The God Allah is an indigenous African god.
The God Allah is an indigenous African God. They call that doing the work. They call that teaching.
Hebrews, saying come from and who they are specifically, because based upon my research, these are African people.
Hebrews are African people, according to the Pan-African Conscious Community members.
This is how we know that the Hebrews, first of all, you got to understand that Hebrew is an African language.
Hebrew is an African language according to Pan-African Conscious Community members.
Then when you do a linguistic analysis, you understand that the Hebrew language is cognate with the Yoruba language.
The Hebrew language is cognate with the Yoruba language according to the Pan-African Conscious Community members. And this one here is really the icing on the cake.
Fly in English is the same word, except we don't have the prefix sound in there in the word fly. And so the word, the phoneme R is now L in English, and the P sound is F, in English. It's just simply the word. It's a very old word. It's all the Indo-European is in every African language.
I don't even need to comment on that. Of course, I don't agree with what you've heard. These are the teachings of the conscious community members, the Pan-Africans, which is mainly science fiction, but it is being presented and passed off as facts, information. And there's some groupies who believe in those stuff. They are known as Riparianites. Just a bunch of clowns who have a few brain cells and who have the nerve who want to invalidate real scholars, real PhDs, with some phony talking points like, just because a bunch of folks say it doesn't make it true. Our sister RP is in the place to be. Sister, is there any chance you can use your webcam, please? Hotep Senate.
Test.
I can hear you, sister. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay. Let me try to hop back on because I can't hear and I don't know what's going on with my camera.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Okay.
All right. And you know what? Just to make it easy, you have to do that. Link to get on the panel. Oh, the brother is back. Good. So calling
Hey,
back, brother.
peace, brother. Can you hear me? I was having issues with my sound earlier, so I had to get off. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
The thing is, it's like I'm hearing an echo. Now, let me see if it's on my phone or if it's my headphones that's doing that. Let me get off the headphones and see if that helps. Because I'm on the street. I'm thinking if I have headphones, it will help us. But
well, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay. So can you hear? Because I could probably hear you better on the phone.
Well, usually this echoes if somebody will use a computer and have the loudspeaker on. If you have a headset, there shouldn't be any echo. But whatever suits you.
Right,
Whatever suits you.
I was using it, but I took it off. Now I don't hear it at all. I can hear your voice clear.
Well, that's good.
But the only problem is I'm on the street for a little minute, so I hope it doesn't.
Good. It's all good. We kind of hear the cars passing by, but we can hear you clear. Brother,
Okay, cool.
are you a Hebrew Israelite, brother?
Yeah. I'm gonna answer because I went back and I was listening because you asked me that question, but I had already left, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna answer that question, and I'm also gonna ask you some questions too.
Feel free.
Well, I look, I'm not claiming any religion. That's the first thing.
Okay.
I'm not claiming because, the way it worked for me. And yes, I'm American. And yes, I grew up a Christian, but I'm not claiming Christianity. You understand? You got to understand the people in our community, we were forced into a lot of these things. That wasn't a...
Brother, We don't hear you anymore. It seems like you're muted now, brother. Brother, we don't hear you now, brother. Can you hear me, brother? Because all of a sudden we just stopped hearing you. It sounds like you're muted, but I can see that you're not muted. You know what, brother? Try to just log off and come back again. Oh, now you're muted. Now, try and mute yourself to see. Oh, hold on. If I do that, try unmuting yourself, brother. You're muted right now. No, you're muted right now. Right now, you're muted. Oh no, we just don't hear you anymore. There's something with your phone, I guess. Try to come back again. Try to come back because we could hear you fine. Fine. We could hear you fine. Yeah. Feel free to come back. Hey, Senet, how you doing?
Hotep Sani. I'm doing
Hotep
well.
Seneti.
And I was talking to you earlier. I didn't think I was gonna catch you today. Yeah, but I'm a little bit flabbergasted how long this whole thing is like. Lord, it just.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to figure. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Senet. Just hold on, please. Yeah, brother, we can hear you now. Feel free, brother. We
All
just
right.
couldn't hear you
Thank you.
all of a sudden. Yeah, feel free, brother.
All right. So I'm gonna make this real quick. So yeah, like I was saying, right? I grew up a Christian, but it wasn't something that I did by choice. And as I grew older, I started studying and seeing things. And so I have nothing negative to say about nobody's religion. I'm not getting into that because we know what religious wars are like. People go to war with each other over religion. And these are good people that could otherwise live peacefully, but because of the topic of religion, that will cause a whole strife. It even breaks up families. So I don't get into that. But I do get into what's the truth of things, the principles. I try to share that information, ideas. And if you can use the information, you can use the ideas, that's cool. But I'm not trying to get into war with you over religion or over politics. Now, the question I have for you was the issue you were saying with Pan-Africanism, because it seems to me contradictory because there's a lot of things that was created because of Pan-Africanism. But for some reason, it sounds like you have some type of issue, and I want to know what's your definition of Pan-Africanism is and what exactly it is that you have an issue with. So I'm going to stay on mute, and I'm going to let you speak, brother.
Yeah, feel free. The Pan African movement initially was for the independence of African countries. That goal has been reached, even though it is more on paper, but it has been reached. And from that movement, which is really big in the diaspora, probably bigger in the diaspora than on the motherland or of Africa. Um, it has spread into many different movements, you know. And my main issues are the different rapists and pedophiles, and they have been doing so for many years. Besides defending, frauds and crooks, people who steal money and stuff like that, cheat people out of money. But mainly it's them defending rapists and pedophiles. And yeah, that's just to make it short. That's what I would say.
Oh, okay. Because what I'm noticing is that a lot of people, especially nowadays, they're going against, or at least they're saying that they're against Pan-Africanism because A, B, and C. However, their whole platform would not have been possible if it wasn't for Pan-Africanism. This whole discussion about Kemet and our people being the creators of that culture and things like that would not have been possible had it not been for brothers who are documented Pan-Africanists, all right, that brought the information out, okay? The reason that information came out was because there was a French dude. His name is Gobineau. This Gobineau dude came out and he put out a book. He called it The Inequality of the Races. People can look that up. It came out in the 1800s, all right? And when he put it out, nobody challenged it for about 50 years or so. And then a brother from Haiti put out a book and said,
Antenor Firmin.
So you know that brother, right?
Yes, and he was
Okay.
not a Pan African.
Yes, he was.
You
Yes, he
sure?
was.
Okay.
Yes, he is a documented matter of fact, he was involved in the first Pan-Africanist conference in London with Sylvester Williams and them.
But it's my bad, and if that's the case, that's my bad. That's my
No, brother. I don't ever want you to feel that I'm coming on here to attack nobody. I just
I don't feel
ideas
attacked because I
with the
was
family because you don't know.
I don't feel attacked.
Like I don't know all the information. You don't know all the information. So if there's a part that I can fill in, I'll be happy to, in a very nice, non-violent, non-confrontational way. Because again, there's a lot of the information that was hidden from us and kept from us, and so we're bumping heads and we're fighting each other when in fact we should be on the same team. You see?
No, well, I cannot be on the same team with people with different rapists and pedophiles, but you are correct, and I was
No.
wrong earlier.
Listen, I'm not saying no, brother. I don't want you to follow me or do what I say or anything like that. I'm only sharing the information that I think might be missing. That's it. Because a lot of the information was not taught to me. I had to go and find it myself. You see? And then, but sometimes we will slam our brother because we don't have all the information. So I'm just saying, look, Pan-Africanism, whatever your gripe is and everything, just remember, there's a lot of the information that we were not told. I was not told that it wasn't only Garvey that was involved in Pan-Africanism. Nobody talks about Dubois these days. He was involved. Dubois helped Kwame and Nkrumah. Okay? And matter of fact, Dubois is buried in Ghana right now. You see? So there's a lot of information about Pan-Africanism that's just not being shared. And what I see is our generation, we're fighting over that, but back in the generation of our ancestors like Dubois and Garvey and all them, they were fighting to try to make sure we have something now. That's the platform you have now, they built. So anybody, just before you throw Pan-Africanism out and like trash, just remember it was our ancestors that fought to even bring us to this level. We stand on the shoulders of giants. So before you throw everything out, you got to make sure you know all the information. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
But I'm glad you're saying that because actually I did not even specify that. But it started with a good sentiment. It was a noble cause. The independence of the African nations. When I'm talking about Pan-Africans defending rapists and pedophiles, I'm talking about contemporaneous Pan-Africans. That's what I'm talking about. So I want to make that clear. I have a high respect for Marcus Garvey, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, but Garvey, yeah, he was a giant indeed. So I just wanted to make that clear. I'm talking about these current movements. They know very well who the rapists and pedophiles are. Some of them are on record publicly defending rapists and pedophiles, and I have limits. Some things I just cannot do. Like for example, you probably heard about Kwanzaa.
Oh yeah, that was created by an agent. That's not from us. That was created by Karenga.
Yeah,
he's a proven FBI or CIA agent.
But the thing is that but it's like if you speak to many people, like Molefe Asante, PhD, Amamazama, PhD, Amamazama wrote a book about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a plagiarism of the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. So that's a fraud in itself. Now, Molefe Asante, in order to defend Kwanzaa, stated, well, all holidays are man-made. That's not the issue, whether it's man-made or not. The issue is that it's plagiarism of a Jewish holiday. It's a Jewish holiday being passed off as African celebration. Besides that, Karenga tortured black women, so he gets a pass.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There was a history of him, in the prison system. He got locked up. And so, yeah, people don't look into the history of the creators of these cultures. They just go in, they go to the parties like I used to in college. You know what I'm saying? There's a Kwanzaa party. Everybody went to it. Nobody was questioning and doing all of the back work necessary. And you're right. That I'll give you that for sure. But at the same time, they're like, I wouldn't just take Karenga and then throw everything else, into the trash. You feel me?
I understand your point. Sister, do you want to add on to the conversation? You're muted, sister. Actually, my bad. I'm the one who muted you because you were going through your pages. Yeah, you're unmuted now, sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had my thing flipped. I'm sorry. Yeah, y'all started talking about the Pan-African thing. I guess I can try to dovetail it or something to make it relate. It's to me is I'm observing African people in America and elsewhere, but since we're talking about Kanye and the other gentleman, African people in America who were doing their best to try to get information about themselves. And, it's, I can't remember who exactly said this, but it was either Dr. Francis Cress Welsing or someone else. I just can't recall. And the statement was everything we do is a reaction to white supremacy. I know I talk
Maybe
about it a lot, but it is because when you just speaking of the stuff you're speaking of, right? Kwanzaa, trying to facilitate a holiday that African Americans can have during a Eurocentric time of year. That's for capitalism and all that. But then also we have evidence of African people looking for who they are by attaching themselves to something that's already been established, which is the Judo Christianity, type of spirituality. And, I'm just assuming people hear the Hebrews are chosen so much. I'm going to put it in a parallel, right? You have people who may be Hebrew or Semitically identifying now the same way you may have African people who are white identified. You understand? One has been said to be chosen, right? And from the looks of it, they kind of are because they're able to establish themselves and nest themselves in a protective way in their own societies. They have their own markets. They have their holidays are upheld and unbothered. And then you have white people who are also established and protected in a similar way, not the same, practices per se, but everything is a positive. It's like you'll be upheld, you'll be protected, and you'll be able to live your life if you identify either as one of these people or one of these people. But being black ain't getting you nowhere except for abused, hurt, or just confused overall. And I think that's why it's like I'm a little bit concerned about the I'm just troubled for these black men because someone was talking to me about the Kanye thing, and I was like, I didn't want to get into it because I was like, I knew it was just going to go on and on and on. But the person I was talking to was like big up in it. She was like, well, maybe he playing his cards and da 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 da. What cards? What cards? When you and then too, I was on a live a while back and somebody was like, there's no such thing as white supremacy. Well, ask Kanye if that's the case now. Because I feel like all the people in his life let that man think he could start spewing out because he reached a certain point financially that, mind you, wasn't necessarily concrete. It's not like it's land and gold in a vault somewhere he owned. No, this is contracts. Okay, contracts could be broken. They could be dishonored. They could be, the most important contract in America is the Constitution. Last I heard a president talk about it, George Bush, he said it was a goddamn piece of paper. So if that's the case, then Kanye unfortunately should have known I'm playing their game, so I can't talk like I want to. Now, as for young Kyrie, he's younger. He's probably trying to assert and assess as a young black man. So he found something that looks as though it would help him do that. But the thing I'm really pissed about for both of them, Jewish people ain't hurt by nothing these people said, not even Kanye. Because at the end of the day, it's true. They do control a lot of stuff. The entertainment industry. I don't know how many Steins and this and come on now. Spielberg. We got to really get into it. No. So for them to hide and say it's anti-Semitic, for you all to come out, or for him to come out and say we control these industries, and then to say it's anti-Semitic, to say that, you know, black people are Hebrews, get out of here. I just, man, I ain't trying to take too long.
No, feel free. We have time, sister.
It's offensive to me because I'm talking about less than 2 months ago. There was a white man who practiced Judaism. So he's Jewish, right? And he's a part of a nonprofit organization that does things to help businesses in the area. So he wanted to basically get this Pan-African group that I'm a part of that does community work to basically give them veracity in this part of the community. So they could, but it's really, long story short, is because they're getting grants to help underprivileged people. They never thought about helping these people one day before they got this grant. Never been around in these neighborhoods. Now all of a sudden they want to help people get contracts and do this and do that. So he literally came into the center with these two non-white women, one black, one Mexican. And I guess that was supposed to show the diversity, you know, inclusion or whatever. But he came into this place that has pictures of Kemet, pictures of other ancestors from during chattel slavery, Haile Selassie, and he is mad. And then, you know, the gentleman, the host shows him around, shows him how they doing stuff for the youth. Then immediately, well, I disagree. This the Jewish guy. I disagree with you because, you know, really, I'm from so-and-so, and, you know, the Jewish people suffered this and that. And, you know, it's all a matter of mindset and what you want. And I just don't understand. I don't think black people, well, I mean, he going in talking about how basically he just needed to come on out and say we was being lazy. We ain't trying hard enough. We don't have no excuses. He was real close. And then I just sat there and looked down like this. And then by the end of it, you know, I asked a few questions because I was trying to be thorough. So I was like, okay, so you're saying you are doing this, this, and this in the community, but you didn't bring any evidence of past work of efficacy. Oh, he got mad about that. He was like, well, you know, you haven't been a good hostess, and it wouldn't hurt to smile. So that's my last flavor in my mouth from so-called Jewish people. This man admitted he owns real estate in 6 states. He has at least 3 or 4 businesses. He's a millionaire. He's a millionaire. Kanye, and even with him reaching a billionaire status, that's not common for black people. You know what I'm saying? This man been in money. But the minute Kanye gets to a certain point where he feels like a man and expresses himself, no, we'll show you, and snatch all the stuff. They'll never do that to that man. And it ain't just because he's Jewish. It's because he's white. You know, and that's the part right there that I'm not, that's what's not flying to me. We just
And that's deep, sister, because if you talk to these so-called Jews, they'll argue with you to death, and they claim that they're not white.
I just look at them like this because it's lies. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, there are African people that do practice Judaism. I get it. I am not about to sit here and say they're Semitic though, because I can't, you know what I'm saying? From what I've seen, I can't say that. And then on top of that, there are people like Shaka and other people that are better at those dialogues. But them other folks from Germany and Russia, and then they'll come out and tell you what kind of Jew they are. I had a lady tell me she was a Russian Jew. I've met German Jews. You know, they call them Hasidic Jews. I believe those are most of the people that live in Israel now for the most part. And the real so-called Jews, or the ethnic people from Israel, are, from what I understand, called Palestinians. And we see what they're doing to them.
No, you're right. You're right, sister. I live in New York, and they're not a monolithic group, like you said. They're very divided even within themselves. We have a Hasid community right here in Brooklyn, and believe it or not, they got it so tight over here that they got their own police. They don't even use the regular police. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah,
like, how come our community? How come we can't do that?
yeah.
You
The
know?
patrol, the patrol. It's not really police. It's more patrol, is it?
Pro room. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the ones that handle police type things within their
mm,
own community,
yeah.
which is
That's deep.
powerful to me. Why
That's
can't we
yeah.
do that?
That's deep. There's many reasons why they can do that, but you know, regarding what Sister Arpi was saying, the quote might have been that says that we acting in reaction to uh, white supremacy. It might have been Francis Quest Weston, or it might have been Neely Fuller. But when it comes to Kanye, I think that is not playing any cards. That it's just the mental issues that he's been having for a long time, and that's why it's a bit of a shame that all these things are being blown out of proportion, because he actually said that Harriet Tubman uh, never really freed the slaves. He said that slavery was a choice because it was 400 years. That could have been taken as being very offensive, because we're talking about something that was very atrocious, something that lasted for 400 years, the enslavement, the murdering, the raping. But people knew he's going through some stuff. I mean, even when he was still with his ex-wife, he went on social media and blasted her mother, his own mother-in-law. So he's going through some things. We know that it's not new. It's just, but he actually touched on a topic that's extremely sensitive. So um at one point, sister, you were talking about the guy like almost saying that we are lazy and so on. There's this thing that I've been noticing for years, that when you talk about slavery, the enslavement of Africans, one of the thing that I hear the most and I read the most is, oh, stop the victimization, get over it. You know, that's one of their main talking point now when we talk about. So it's like the 400 years. Some people would even say, well, he wasn't exactly 400 years, but all these centuries of enslavement and killing and raping and of black people, it's not so much of a big deal for many people. And the fact that there has not been any reparation is also a testament to that. On the other hand, if you talk about what happened during the second um, World War, committed mainly by Europeans, you know, that's like the um, you cannot say anything about it that is not in accordance to the victims of this crime or Holocaust. That's just the way it is, and it's been like that for so long. So, indeed, a lot of them are powerful, are wealthy, and that's just the way they get down. That's just the way they get down. But like I've said, and I haven't said that many times, and I think I've mentioned that more in the French speaking world than in English speaking world. But black people and non-blacks as well, being part of the Abrahamic belief system is giving them reinforcement, because it was mentioned there was a mention of the inhabitants of Palestine, and yes, we've seen what happened to them. We have Hasidic people, we have Ashkenazi people. Indeed, they come from many different places. So we know what happened after the Second World War, when really it was England and some other powerful nation, but mainly England, who decided, okay, we're going to give them that land. So because of a book of theology, they were given an actual land. You know, but the mere fact that we have so many people into the Abrahamic belief system is giving legitimacy to this theology that is being passed off as history. Even though people from Israel, some scholars from Israel, have said themselves that the Exodus story is actually folklore. You know, so they have something that's they have their thing. They have their thing going on, and they're gonna keep on pushing that way. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? But what about us? Why do we still continue after all these years of studies and scholars worldwide who have looked into these theological matters of the Abrahamic belief system? Why do we still want to attach ourselves? But I don't want to be too long, sister. I think you wanted to say something. Feel free, sister.
Well, that's the thing, right? A lot of people are looking at religions on the surface, right? And I know now it's the new thing, Abrahamic religion this and that and the third. But the fact of the matter is, people have to start studying the science of why these religions was put together. There was a reason why the Abrahamic faith was put together, and the people that put it together had a specific reason for doing so. This is what we need to look into, as opposed to saying, oh, you know, this doctrine is false or this is folklore and everything. That's just looking at it on the surface. Now, I'm not part of any Hebrew Israelite camp. I'm not trying to come out here doing none of that. I'm not starting no religious wars. I'm just an independent, you know, researcher, somebody who's just, you know, self-taught. You know, I go to the libraries. I have a library card. You know, I read a lot, and I'm also not claiming to know everything. The point I'm trying to make is this: before you knock something down, you got to make sure you have at least a really good grasp of what it is. And I know, brother, you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. I'm not going to knock you, but I think the Abrahamic religions was put together during a time of cataclysm, and it wasn't for everybody. Do you understand? And the reason they did that is because, you know, you also have to add all of the, space, stuff that was going on in space and on Earth and in our solar system. So they had to devise something to keep a particular consciousness. And that's what it is. You're kind of like, I see where you're going. You have an issue with the consciousness that was created by the Abrahamic religions, right? That's really what it is. The important thing about religion is that it creates a certain type of perspective and consciousness in you. So you might be able to see something others may not, because you have a different consciousness. You know, if a brother is studying Islam, stuff that's important to him, that's in his conscience, is not in it's not in yours. So what I try to do is I try to figure out, why was the Abrahamic religions put together? And we understand that it was put together. Matter of fact, the books that we have, the Bible, it's the slave Bible. They took out all the books. There's supposed to be a book called the Book of War. We don't even have that book. The Bible that we have in our hands right now is incomplete. Do you understand? And so I don't want to, again, throw away anything until I've studied it to a significant extent. And even then, I'm still not going to do that, because you got to have an open mind. But I think the Abrahamic religions was put together so that they could put order for a certain group of people that was on this planet. And otherwise, they would have had to leave, or they would have to go extinct. Because when you study Abrahamic religion, it's all about behavior and, you know, controlling what you do. You need laws. You need this and this and that. People that need laws, meaning that they must have been doing something, or something happened where they were out of order. So that's the way I come at it. I'm not coming at it on a religious beef. I know you asking for them to come on your platform. Trust me, you don't want these brothers coming on your platform, bro. You're gonna have beef forever.
No, I usually don't have beef. And people can see that if you have a look on the videos. But Sister RP, I saw you shaking your head. Maybe you want to add on to the conversation?
Oh, I was just shaking my head about that mind control. I was talking to my mom about this. It was yesterday, and I was saying to her, you know, because I wear my ankh. I have different ankhs, and you know, she's gotten to the point where she's okay, but then she'll still say stuff like, "But there's only one Lord," and say that, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, I was like, Mama, you realize the cross is a symbol of death. I'm like, just think about it. They killed Jesus on it. They killed other people on it. Then they put it on a flag and went around the world and committed atrocities to spread Christianity, like one way or another. Like people die whenever that symbol has been evoked. And I think one, you know, just centuries and centuries of only hearing about like you said, the Abrahamic belief systems, people, everybody ain't like us. Probably the people that frequent this channel and even Sonetta, right? They went ahead and did more work. Even the guy that you disagree with a lot, the fact that he knows what he knows, maybe he's manipulating it, but the fact that he knows it to try to manipulate it, or
Garfield, you're talking about, are you?
oh, what's his name? The Mr. Reggie, Dr. Reggie.
Reggie. I mean,
Yeah,
Reggie Marbury.
I was
Reggie
looking
Marbury.
at your video about that, him earlier, something he did, but even him, the fact that he knows enough to counter other people means that he took the time to find out that there was something else, right? Most other people haven't gotten out of the pantheon of Christianity and Islam or Judaism. So when you're talking to Black people, it's like, oh snap, like you went to, like, I'm being honest, I wasn't so into African stuff for a while because, I just was trying to sort out I'm just trying to sort out my mind. And I think it was like 2005, 6, I was looking into Buddhism. Okay, and then that got me to learn about the Hinduism, but then slowly but surely learning about America and then European history. Well, then wait, what was before that? Then I came back toward where I am now. So that's rare, is what I'm trying to say. Plus, you have the schisms, and we some superstitious people. And superstition don't necessarily have to be a bad thing, because, like, if you are a person that follows African spirituality, if that's Kemet or Voodoo or whatever else in between, there's some superstitious things involved in that, but there are purposes for it, right? But no, we just be superstitious off the GP or what somebody else said. For instance, my aunt would always say, when it would rain while the sun was out, the devil whooping his wife. Never got an explanation what that meant or why, but somehow for years I believed that. So mind you, people are hearing things for years and years, which was embedded in them for centuries through their ancestors, right? Jesus, devil, Santa Claus, and they don't feel the need to go further half the time. You know what I'm saying? But back to the Jew thing, or Jewish, excuse me, I don't want to get nobody, banned or nothing. Part of the reason why it's anti-Blackness, because they gotta, instead of pointing fingers, like you said, at the people who are really anti-Semitic, which are most likely Europeans and European Americans, now known as white people, they have to make somebody the bad guy. We're the bad guy of the world, Black people, period, right? But then I was learning and reading from some books and listening to some lectures around the time that media entertainment is becoming more accessible, and they're starting to control the studios and everything. They put together that Anti-Defamation League because they didn't want to be the butt of the jokes no more. It was at some point in time, just saying loosely, Black people always the butt of a joke, always being defamed, always being dehumanized, right? But then they would make fun of Irish people every now and then, and they make fun of Jewish people every now and then. Well, when Jewish people got the ability to be like, no, you ain't doing that to us. We control an industry. Now they have the Anti-Defamation League, and then all of a sudden, there's anti-Semitism. So for a while growing up in the South, I remember blatantly there would always be talk about people that were part of, the Klan or the sophisticated Southern Democrats, right? Those people, they're anti-Semitic, David Duke and stuff. It was a known thing. He was anti-Semitic. He didn't like Jewish people. He didn't like Black people, and he didn't like whoever else, right? But then that had to transform, right? Because this is what white supremacy does. It always shoots a flare. to take the attention off itself. So we being thrown flares. We are the flare. Instead of people saying, nah, I'm not buying this. How can we be anti-Semitic? Like, and unfortunately, like, I know you don't like him, but he had a point. He has his moments. Farrakhan, like he told Mike Wallace, did we drop a bomb on Hiroshima? Did we put people in ovens? I don't think so. So what is you talking about? Anti-Semitic. I'm in my line.
No, the sister's on point, man. You cooking right now. And that's the thing about that community. You know, they are really direct beneficiaries of the work that was put in from 18. Excuse me, y'all. It's crazy out here. Hold on. All right, so this truck is going. But yeah, they've benefited from at least, and I'm talking about in this country. I'm not talking about what was going on with them in other countries and how they were involved or whatever, because we never did that. Matter of fact, the only time that there was an order to kick Jews out of America was during the Civil War, and it was rescinded within a week. Okay? So America has been friendly, and we've been welcoming. We've been, you understand? And our people, we've never had any sort of conspiracy or any plot to go and attack their communities for whatever reason. In fact, we started working with each other all the way back to, at least Du Bois, right, when they started the NAACP.
NAACP, yeah.
Yeah. And so we went through that whole Jim Crow era working with one another until those Jim Crow laws started to get off the books, right? They started to well, some of them are still around, in other ways, redlining and all this stuff. But with it, during that whole Jim Crow era, we worked together for the most part. But then after the 60s, all of a sudden, we're like disposable. You understand? Yeah, it's like we're trash. They no longer need us. All these other groups, they got everything they needed. So now they're good. So who cares about us, right? And now we're the bad guys. You understand? Here's the thing I want to say about Kanye. Kanye, it's like, if only he could have just stayed within his artist lane. Stay a musician, man. You delving into governmental politics is what's doing him in right now. Okay? If he had stayed within, being like, okay, let's say he wanted to, why not go and get like a you have so much money, why not start your own music company or music, whatever. But instead he want to delve into that shark infested water, which is political or governmental politics. Now, art is politics in and of itself. It's the most intimate form of politics. So he could have used his platform, and if he wanted to say stuff, use your music, or maybe start making films, or start doing things and start controlling. You cannot say anything unless you have control of it, Kanye. You see, these other groups master that. They say, I'm going to build a platform first, and then I'm going to be able to say stuff. See, Kanye's like, okay, well, I feel I got the ultimate, pass. And then he started just doing crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that's out of his lane. When I first started seeing it was way back when, when he started, flirting with Trump or whatever. Like personally, I don't care for Trump. You understand what I mean? I don't care for anything he, has to say or whatever. And at the same time, I'm not against him. I know there's people that follow him. There's people who are friends of mine who follow him or whatever. But I'm not getting it confused. He's not there for my community. You understand? And that's what we need to do. We need to understand what home turf is. We need to get back home and worry about our community, our neighborhood. You understand? If Kanye had realized, look, all I have to do is stay within the history and the cultural heritage of my own community, that's going to insulate me, and I don't even have to worry about anything. And that's the truth, because I can talk to a Jewish person, and trust me, none of that stuff will ever come out, because I get to them direct. I said, look, when you came to this country, who was it that created all the possibilities for you to get to where you at? And they have to admit it. How many groups did we help get up there? We have Jews. Remember the Irish, they came here, they were starving in Ireland. Guess what? They got a pipeline, they went all the way up. What about the Italians? They came in, what happened? There's an elevator that took them straight up, right? Then in the 60s, you have a whole lot of other immigrants. What happened? They took an elevator and they went straight up. We help so many people, so many causes. You understand? But now we're disposable. And this whole thing with Kyrie and Kanye is an example of that. They feel like we're just disposable. They can take your money. This guy is about to lose billions without due process. You understand?
And
So
mm,
that's really what it's about. We
mm.
as a community have to realize we got to put all these other things aside. These other communities, they're controlling platforms, they're controlling markets, and we need to do the same.
And when Kanye embraced Donald Trump, he kind of went against the grain because I cannot give specific figures, but historically, black people vote more for the Democrats, and they surely don't. Uh, well, I don't think they vote mainly for Donald Trump. I'm talking about black people, in general, or on average. So he went against the grain. Now it will be interesting to see if Donald Trump will go against the grain and give him some support back as well. Because the only thing I've read so far is since Elon Musk is the new owner of Twitter, I think Donald Trump wrote like he was happy that Kanye's account was unsuspended because Kanye's account was like blocked. It was not deleted or terminated, but it was like suspended or blocked or something like that. So when the news came out that it is no longer under restriction, and I'm talking about Kanye's Twitter account, then Trump, stated that he was happy about that. But now we're going to see if there's going to be anything further than just talking about the account no longer being restricted. Um, now, the sister was saying about Farkan, that she knows I don't like him. Like I wouldn't say I don't like him. It's just I'm not a fan of his. Uh, because he's part of an organization that teaches Africans are living in jungle life and Africans are not civilized. At one point, they would not allow Africans to be members of the Nation of Islam, and we could hear him. He also said that natural hair is a disease carrier and a disease catcher. He said that black people are marked and disfigured because we rebel against God, and our physical appearance is basically the essence of ugliness. I've played the audio, the video so many times. The video, for those who wonder, is called Shabazz Malediction, and you have the link in the description of this video here. There's, I think, Ben X, a young NOI member. At one point, he actually talked about Malcolm X saying similar things, and indeed, Malcolm X said similar things because this is coming from the teaching of Elijah Muhammad. But Malcolm X didn't have the same twist, and Ben X said that the video was out of context, and no, it is not out of context, not at all. If it is out of context, then let him play it in context. And many people have tried that trick, you know. Because that video that's floating around, a 3-minute video, I'm the one who put it out. And I have the full speech as well. I don't need to put a full speech. How are you gonna put a full speech? But even a 3-minute excerpt, as it was getting 1,000 views a day, and I'm talking about probably 2,000, uh, between 2010 and 2012, something like that. Um, the Final Call Inc. made a copyright claim because after 4 days, 1,000 views a day. So after 4,000 views, it's like, oh, and many people were shocked by that. But ever since then, many other people have re-uploaded this video excerpt. And finally, earlier, brother, you were saying that uh, talking about the Abrahamic belief system and the spirituality aspect, which might be an issue that I have. My issue really mainly when it comes to the Abrahamic writing is the fact that we have theology, we have unattested events that are being passed off as history, because anything else like spirituality, interpretation, it's not something, tangible, but we have many, not just black folks, but we have many black folks who put themselves in the mix and say, this is our story. We are the Hebrews, we are the Jews, we are the Hebrews, or like, and they talk about those events like the Exodus story, like it actually happened, and that's my issue because
Okay.
I deal. Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
brother. Feel free. Yeah.
No. I definitely hear what you're saying because that's a good point. There's some people that literally, trace their whole lineage based off of what occurred within the Abrahamic Bible and all these things. You know that, right? Our people, even within this country, originally birth certificates were issued through the Bible. You know that, right? If a child
I,
was born, the name of that child is put in the family Bible. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, yeah. So genealogy, which is, within the Bible, at least the slave one they gave us, you see that our people and others use that and say, hey, I am one of the children of Israel, and they attach themselves to that and all these things. Now, is it for me to say that they're wrong or not? No, I'm just studying the whole thing. You understand what I mean? I've only been on earth for a little while. You understand what I mean?
But
And
we can
so,
say we can say it is wrong if we
but
know it
that's
is
but
wrong.
that's the thing. It's like you could never be definite because you don't have all the information. Why am I
But
saying that? Most of the
wh-
people that get the religious information, the true religious information, are initiated. I wasn't initiated.
I disagree with that,
Were you
brother.
initiated?
No, I disagree with that, brother. Because when they
Really?
claim to be, yeah, because when they claim to be initiated, we don't know what they mean. They just got into a room and did whatever they did, and now they want to act like because they went through that initiation, they have more knowledge or the deeper knowledge. I strongly disagree with that. If
Really?
there's any
Because they have books that go back all the way to like even BC or whatever that we don't have any access to. Like
who,
look at the Vatican. The
yes,
Vatican, they have so much information. They have a library that's so big. How how many miles is that library? We don't
I
have
don't
no
know.
access to that.
I don't know. I haven't been to the library, but I've been to the Vatican Museum.
But
But
that's what
what
I'm
is
saying.
yes,
These people have information that we don't have.
so
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 I
so
can't.
okay, okay. If you don't mind, are you implying that maybe from the library of the Vatican we can establish that black people are descendants of Israelites?
You never know. You never
No,
know.
but if we
Okay,
if we
do you have access? Do you have access to it? I don't have access.
I don't have access to it, but I don't think it's legitimate to say that
But
because otherwise I could
okay, then why are they
because
hiding the information though? Why is it hidden?
who said they're hiding information? Who said they're
The
hiding information?
Vatican. Okay, tell me who has access because I want access too. I want to be able to go to that library and see what's in there.
I don't think anybody can just access this library, but
That's what I'm.
surely,
Okay,
surely some people,
that's the only point
surely
I'm
some,
making, brother.
yeah,
We agree. No, we
no, but
agree. We
but
agree,
check this out,
brother.
check this out, check this out.
But we
Let's
agree. No, no, no. Before we go further, I want to
yeah.
say that we agree.
Okay,
There's
okay, okay,
stuff that we don't
okay,
have access to. Yes or
okay,
no?
okay. All right, let's presume
Okay.
that. Now, what if I say, okay, there are extraterrestrial beings, and the proof is in the library of the Vatican, but I cannot show and prove because I don't have access to it. Would
Well,
you
see, but
accept that
no, no,
statement?
no, no, no. The only thing you can state is that there is a library, but you don't know what the contents are that's in
All
there.
right. But would you accept me saying, okay, we have extraterrestrial being, and Obama is an extraterrestrial?
No, but I never
Would you
said that.
accept that?
No, no,
No, I know, I know, I
I
know,
wouldn't
I know.
say
But
that.
I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to get
No, no,
somewhere.
but no, no, no,
What?
no,
Why?
no, no. What you're doing is you're asking a leading question. That's a leading question.
But
The
what's wrong
question
with that?
should be, is it likely that they have information on aliens? Is it likely? Yes, it's possible they might have it.
Okay, fine, fine. But would you accept me claiming that Obama and Trump are extraterrestrials because it's likely that they have information about aliens?
No, no, that's different. That's like a whole.
Okay,
That's
so
imaginary.
so
Yeah.
what? Okay, okay. So why would it be likely that black people descend from Israelites because there is the Vatican Library that we don't have access to?
I'm not saying that it's predicated on the library. I'm saying that there's information that people have who are initiated. There's a lot of secret societies. Matter of fact, a lot of information that I discovered later on in life were from Freemasons. I didn't get that information in school. The Freemasons have a library right here in New York, and they have information that will blow your mind.
Yeah, but you see, I don't think you will claim that in the among the Freemasons literature, we'll have some writings that we don't find anywhere else. You wouldn't argue that, would you?
Yes, I can because they have these books that you can only get from them.
I adapt that. Adapt that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
But
Matter of fact,
which
anybody in the chat can concur with what I'm saying.
well,
There are societies that have information that we don't have access to. You
mm,
don't agree with that?
I no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I like
Okay,
people to
we
show
could
proof.
agree to
But
disagree. We could
the
agree to
sister,
disagree.
I think the sister would like to interject. But just so you know, brother, in the chat, there's not going to be much participation because a few days ago I've decided to make it so only the members of the channel can participate in the chat. It avoids me having
Oh,
to deal
okay,
with the
okay,
spam all the time. And it's $3 a month. And you know how people $3 a
okay.
month, which is $36 a year, is just too much, you know. But go ahead, sister.
Oh yeah, let's hear what the sister have to say about this. What do you
Okay,
think, sister?
don't beat me up, Shaka. But I'm inclined to agree with him just off the fact that so much has been stolen and lied about. And then we talking about people, okay, these are people that are fearful of losing control. So anything that will come across empowering or just something that they just if they just want to keep something to the chest or to themselves, like for instance, the jewels that they've taken, the gold and the this and the that. We know about gold and jewelry and all that, but it's not the fact that it's gold and jewelry, it's the fact that it was ours first. And if we saw some of the stuff that was ours first that is gone now, and we be and the stuff that we haven't seen, we'd be
Facts.
pissed. I think that's what he's trying to get at. I don't know. I have no idea.
No,
I'll
but
put it to
but
you
you're
like
right, sister. You're 100% correct because now I'm finding out there's information about Hebrew culture that was found right here in America, right here in the United. Well, I don't want to. It wasn't called the United States back, before Columbus, but they're finding certain areas where they were digging up fossils and or whatever you want to call these things, right? The anthropologists, and they're finding stuff that can only be from Jews. And I'm like, what do you mean? Right here in America before Columbus? And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Why weren't we shown this information? You see?
Brother,
So
brother,
before no, hold on. Before I contend with anything, I never say anything unless I have enough information. I try to be safe, and
I understand.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to nobody.
I understand.
I'm trying to stay honest with the information only. I don't follow leaders, and I don't join groups.
Mm.
Because you're a leader or you're a group, I'm gonna join. And what if you're lying to me?
And that, what you're s-
What if you're leading me to the wrong information?
and what you're saying is very interesting because if we are accurate, we can show and prove what we're claiming. Now, that thing you just mentioned to me is unlikely, but if you can share something with us, then we can look into it further.
No
Some,
doubt, no doubt. And it's not my information. This
I
is stuff
understand,
that's
I
out
understand,
there,
but
and I was researching, I was listening
that
to it.
that,
I'm
that
not
was a
making
that,
claims. I'm not
I
saying that
understand, I
it's
understand.
true or
You're not
not.
saying it's
I'm
coming
just a
from you.
student.
Yeah, I
I'm just a
understand.
student sitting in a class.
I understand, and I presume that was a website you came across, right?
No, this is on YouTube. This documentaries on
All
this.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, um, evidence of Hebrew culture before the arrival of Christopher Columbus.
Yes, brother. I was
I
blown
mean,
away.
brother, that's extremely unlikely.
So
Extremely unlikely.
that's why I never come out and say anything and be like, oh, this is the truth. This is no,
Yeah,
no, no,
but
no.
but
Be a
brother,
student.
at
Be a
this point,
student.
at this point, it is a claim. It is a claim,
Exactly. It's
and
a claim.
yeah,
So in other
yeah.
words, I can't disprove it. Can you disprove it?
Uh, I mean, just because I'm not in a position to disprove something that I have not even been presented, it doesn't mean that there's validity in that claim.
And we're in the same page. I'm just
Mm,
like you. I'm
mm,
just like
mm.
you.
Because,
So when
but you
they
see,
present me
we
the information, I
mm.
can only say wow. And so I'm just gonna sit back,
Well,
and then
you shouldn't
if
say
there's
wow.
information, if they
You
show
should,
me stuff, no, if they show me stuff, I will look into it. I will read it. I
yeah,
show
looking into it.
everybody. No. I show everybody respect.
I
If people
understand.
come to me, they could say the most outrageous things,
Mm,
and so I'm just gonna sit down and say, okay, that's interesting. Now, if I have time,
mm,
I'll look at what they present, but I will
I
not
understand.
slam them, brother.
I understand. I understand. But you see, the thing, looking into it is one thing, but saying wow with a claim that has not been, um, uh, let's say, validated or accepted by scholars
Okay, now let me
is
ask you this: who is it that we get this validation from? Please tell me who it is.
scholars.
Who?
S-
Who
s-
are they?
s- Well, we can go to any university and look at the name
The
of the scholars, but
universities? Who? Okay,
The PhDs.
okay.
Okay, what I mean, I wasn't clear. What I mean is PhDs. Yes, yes, PhDs.
Oh,
Yes.
from P. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
then that. Yeah, I respect that. Okay, I respect.
PhDs in
Yes,
history, PhDs in
yes,
anthropology, PhDs in
yes.
linguistics. Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay.
I wasn't clear actually, so it's my fault. And Yeah, because it sounds very far-fetched, and we should have the reflex of when we hear something that's very far-fetched to be aware, like something says something that nobody else ever said. Because if there's a new discovery, then scholars will look into it. Now, actually, it's good you said that because it reminds me of what I wanted to say regarding the Vatican. The Vatican can have all the books in the world, but when we deal with ancient histories, the books will not be the data, the record used by scholars to establish what happened in the past. That will be the original artifacts from the time period, and usually we found them mainly in museums. So the Vatican is not in a position to acquire the artifacts that we have in museums all around the world.
Okay, so I have a question.
Hmm.
Why did the Vatican burn so many books?
Who said they burned so many books? I mean, are you talking about the time, like where they will burn books that would not deal with Christianity, or when they were chasing like women accused
No, no,
of
they
being
would burn
sorcerers?
the books of the so-called, infidels. The people that they were, evangelizing. So
Mm,
they would have these, especially right here in America. A lot of the book, only about 5 books, pre-Columbian books, actually still exist.
mm.
And the Catholic Church burnt pretty much any type of book or artifact that they came into, and said that it was heretics, or they used to
Well,
call them all types of.
my answer will
No, no,
be
hold on. But why do
okay.
you think that the Vatican would do that? Why would they
I,
burn books?
I think they burn books for the same reason they burn women when they accuse them of being sorcerers. At one
What?
point, they were, yeah, but isn't that a fact that they were burning women?
Yeah,
Accusing them of being
they
and I said
definitely killed.
sorcerers.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean
right.
witches,
You're right. They would accuse
yes,
them,
yes,
and then they would
yes.
burn them. You're
So
right.
so
You're
so
right.
so at one point they're like, you're gonna get down and lay down. It's our stuff, it's the Bible, and anything else, I'm saying, you're gonna be in trouble. Like Galileo was in trouble. Now, regardless of how many books they have burned or not, once again, the artifacts that allow us to find out what happened in ancient times, they are all around the world in museums, and the Vatican is not in a position to acquire those artifacts. So it doesn't matter much, because as long as you are familiar with the ancient languages, whether it's the Middle Natural or hieroglyphic, or the cuneiform writing, or the Aramaic, the ultimately the Canaanite dialect that we call Hebrew today, and the Arabic language, and even the Latin, the Greek also, we have people who are familiar with those languages. So we have different records around the world, and people can read them, and and work things through. It's just that simple, because
Well,
I think that yeah.
I think like the sister was saying, they stole stuff and burned stuff and did things because they didn't want certain information to be found out. It's that simple.
Well,
They
that's a
didn't
claim.
want.
That's a claim.
Hold on. The thing is, we have to make sure that that information that was destroyed, okay, that we at least have a good idea what it was about. And
Well,
that's the
we
truth.
don't we
Hold
don't
on,
have
hold on.
any idea of what it was.
That's what I'm
That's the
saying.
thing.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So to me, that act to me is actually like an act against humanity. Why would you destroy historical documentation like that? That belongs to humanity. You destroy it and
But
you burn it?
it's done though. I mean, they've burned black people. You know what I'm saying? So these are
Yeah,
things
but
that they have done.
I'm not trying to look at it like that. I'm sticking to that point where you took information that was there before you
Hmm.
threw it out, and then now you giving me this other stuff. So now, okay, so I'm not supposed to think any other way.
But
Only the way you think, only the way
Muslims
you have in those books. That's the
Muslims did
only
the
thing I'm
same thing.
supposed to adopt. So that
Mus-
tells me, hold on, that tells me there's other perspectives that were being what? Destroyed.
Okay, I hear you, but Muslims did the same thing. I don't hear people arguing that the Arabs were black because the Muslims destroyed some stuff, some artifacts, like they've
Okay,
done very
okay,
yeah.
that's a good point. Now check this out. I
Mm.
want you to pick out this book, Black Spark, White Fire. Did you know that up until that brother Antonor Furman, right?
Yeah.
That he wrote that book, and then it was proven by the brother from Senegal. What is his name?
Shekanta Diop.
Sheikh Anta Diop. Up until then, the Europeans was under the impression that all of the I'm not just saying the new pharaohs, but the old pharaohs, all of they were saying all of them were what? Blonde and blue eyes, which was a lie. It
Well,
took
actually,
but
I beg to differ.
no
Champollion
no.
described.
Let me finish. That book shows you that it took a long time for them to realize that the rest of the world, okay, was not going to accept the lie of ancient Egypt being blonde and blue eyes. And this is the book. The book is called Black Spark, White Fire. And it wasn't written by us. It was written by one of them. They proved that they were lying. White supremacists were lying. Okay?
Now,
And now
Antonio.
now look at behind you. You have an Egyptian, and look at, he's not blonde and blue eyed. Why is he not blonde and blue eyed? Because the truth came out.
Now, well, he's like that because that's a depiction from his tomb, and that's Amenhotep III, that's Akhenaten's father. Um, Antonio Firmin was kind of a pioneer because his time was before Sheikh Diop, indeed, and he addressed the terms. But before Antonio Firmin, Champollion himself, the one credited with deciphering the hieroglyphic, the one credited as being the founder of Egyptology as a field, he described when he went to some tombs. He described the ancient Egyptians, and he said that they are portrayed the same as the Negroes, which could not be otherwise. Now, Negroes is the term that we're using back then. Now it might sound offensive, but that's how they were using. So he said, they're portrayed the same way, which could not be otherwise. And that was like 1820 something. Then, 2,000 years before, we have Herodotus. And Herodotus, described also the Egyptians as black. At one point he says, in saying that the dove was black, they mean that she was Egyptian. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Antonio Firmin or Cheikh Anta Diop and Champollion, but I'm just saying that because you stated that they will argue, and it's true, you're correct. They will argue there's some white race, dark white race, dark Caucasian race in Egypt, but Diop and Obenga, they destroyed that, what I'm saying. But for the record, Champollion described the ancient Egyptians as black. I'm not saying he described all of them as black, but when he went to some tombs, we have his writings, and Herodotus also gave the description of ancient Egyptians as black as well. And nobody's calling them blackologists or African centered. They are very well respected. But
Well, the reason that whole entire field was created was because, like the sister was saying earlier, we are reacting to what the supremacists were doing. You understand? They were going around lying, saying that all of the dynasties were blonde and blue eyes. And when you watch movies,
well, I don't think they were saying blonde and blue eyes, but I get you.
Let me finish. When the movies were being shown to me when I was coming up, in my generation, we all thought that the Egyptians were blonde and blue eyes. We were being lied to, brother.
Okay, let's say white skin. I don't think they were arguing blonde and blue eyes.
Blonde and blue-eyed, Nordic. They were Nordic blondes. That's what they call them, Nordic blondes.
Yeah, they would say Mediterranean. They would say Caucasian. I mean, they would say all kind of things back then. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they considered.
And the funny thing is, they cannot prove anything that they built. Where's all the grand, monuments in Europe? Most of them grand monuments are outside of Europe. So how is it that everywhere they're the masters of everything, right? But in Europe, you can't find nothing. Well, even Hitler had to admit that. He says, if you dig up anything in Germany, all you're going to get is just a whole bunch of, barbaric stuff. We don't have any culture. So you see what I'm saying? We're talking about a people that went around basically taking credit for stuff they had nothing to do with. And we see it today, even in culture, even in music. That's their spirit. They go around and they take credit for our people's work. That's a fact.
Let me jump in if I can real quick.
Yes, of course, sister. Go
I mean, that very much is true. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. It's what he said. It's an illustration to me. I was at the gym earlier and I heard a song. I'm like, I know them lyrics. And it was like, they say, I'm crazy. And it was going to like a techno beat. I said, what? I said they done took Jill Scott and remade it into some techno stuff. But then wait, right after that, another song that was a 90s, like a 90s R&B song, they took and made that techno. It was like a techno channel. I'm like, it was just like song after song, just about all music that's literally been gentrified to be EDM, that was R&B. I was at a sushi restaurant years ago. My God, y'all gonna laugh. And the lady was playing the guitar and she was like, "Can nobody love me better? Make me happy." I said, "No, you did not just Beach Boy the hell out of damn Shaka Khan. You just what, lady? Man, they don't have no fresh ideas except stealing." And this is what I was going to say to kind of go forward versus going back based on their admission. So I was listening to a show called The Context of White Supremacy. It was either that show or I believe it was that show. And they were speaking to how the archaeologists, when they pull up bones now, they still testing for gender. And they're finding out this was a male, this was a female. But what they're doing is putting their spin on it. Well, we don't know if this person lived like a female, so we're just going to say that they were a person. So that in a way is altering history, even with artifacts and fossils. You found a woman, you found a man, but because y'all on y'all Rainbow Plus stuff and don't want to misgender some bones that, like they say, is in your bones, what you were genetically. It don't matter what you called yourself, but they're literally going forward into the future, finding people and saying, well, we're just going to say they were androgynous or say they were unisex or whatever for a present day agenda. So my logic or rationale based on their admission, if you'll do that now, then you've done it before. You see what I'm saying? I can't say that they have information somewhere saying that Black people are Semites and we're Hebrews. I don't know that. That's not a part that I focused on. But I'm going to also say what I've heard from their admission, what I've also understood about the military-industrial complex and how most of the technology we have in front of us was kept from us for periods of time until somewhere, some way, somebody decided, or we could declassify it now and make it a consumer product. You know, people was playing around with radio and Bluetooth and this and that in the 20s. Look at Tesla. We talked about this a little bit before. If this man literally came up with a Tesla tower when he did, that was basically Wi-Fi, then good golly, they probably have some other technology right now that 100 years from now will be, germane at that time, but it's being kept from us now. So it's just what they do. They practice, like you said, you spoke with Mr. Fuller. They practice racism through deceit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Holding stuff back. So, but the reason why they do it too is not just because of the power part, is because of the confusion it causes between us, and we start arguing among ourselves about who's right and who's wrong. And it kind of takes us off. The ultimate thing is these people over here causing us these problems. You know what I'm saying? So if we just agree that we are who we are and that they the problem, and let's fix that, we going around.
That's facts. I agree with you 100%. But family, I gotta run because I'm on the street and it's kind of cold. I just want to say this real fast. I'm gonna follow your channel, brother. I see that you're a brilliant, very smart brother. You talk about good content. I don't hear gossip and all that, because all these other channels is celebrity gossip and none of that. Like, you talk about real conscious stuff. So the last thing I want to say is this. For me, I feel like I'm a student, man. I never, rule out anything, especially if I'm finding out there was information that was, destroyed or whatever. So you can never really rule anything out and be 100% when you're doing research. There's no such thing as 100% certainty in research. If you have 100% certainty, then you're a god. You're a god. You can fly. You can do everything. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I've learned to accept that. So when people come around and they could sound like they're saying the most outrageous stuff, I just say, you know what? I'm going to choose my battles. And I choose to battle the ones that have been battling me, like the sister was saying. We need to take care of that before we get into ourselves and do all that. And even though we do have issues that we got to work amongst ourselves, that's true. But we got to pick the battle that's going to, ensure our greatest success, the bigger picture. And so that's what I try to focus on. And, but again, those two brothers, man, I hope everything works out. I don't know what's going to happen with Kanye. They took all his cash. Now, Kyrie, I don't know what they're going to do with him. But, hopefully at some point our community can defend these brothers. And also, brothers have to, we got to stop straying off, you know what I'm saying? Unless you have a really good reason. But don't stray off and try to be within their community and all of a sudden you get kicked out. So that's all I have to say, y'all. I'm not going to stay too. I appreciate your platform, man. Real
Thank you,
real
brother.
talk.
Thank you for calling, and you're always welcome, brother. Yeah, and there's one thing I wanted to say, but I think I've lost my thought about what you said, sister. But with this belief system, I wouldn't say that we are arguing. We're trying to figure out, what we are indeed, our identity, and I think it's good for us to find out who we are. And if we have some belief systems, or let's say some people who practice a belief system and they have enslaved us for 1400 years combined, us being into the same belief system, I think is problematic. We don't see any Jewish people, being Nazis with any rhetoric, like, we don't hear them say, oh, actually, we're the real Aryans. And this analogy will probably not be accepted by black people in general, but this is just an analogy. We have some people who came with some literature, some theology, and we've seen the result. Now, us practicing this belief system for many hundreds of years, we can also see the result. Was there any progress? You see? So, in the end, they are winning. We are practicing their theology, the money that we are spending when there's like the annual holy dates, pilgrimage, it is in their place. There's a place called Lourdes in France. People will sell water, so-called holy water. They're very focused on the Mary, the Virgin Mary, which ultimately is safe to say descends from the cult of ISIS. But some people have issues with that. And of course, we have Mecca, and we have the war, and I think that's Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, and the literature about their writings. They're the one printing it. They're the one writing the main books being purchased by the followers of those traditions. So ultimately, they are winning. You know, uh, so we can always have discussion, and I think for the most part we're not really familiar with the information. Now we are, because we can read, like the brother Chuck Morgan is studying formally the cuneiform writing. I'm now studying formally Egyptology. But even before I started studying Egyptology formally, I have some knowledge. I had some knowledge of the language. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but and I have shared over the years many. For example, when it comes to the Bible, the plagiarism in the Bible. Recently I've been updating this page on my website where we can see where the texts come from. I mean, where the older texts that ultimately made their ways in the Bible. Now, some people, like Garfield and Reggie, are acting like we said all the Bible is plagiarized, which is ridiculous. Also, like Jabaria stated, we're never going to find records of Europeans or whoever that is that say, oh, well, we are copying from this story and shh, hush. Come on now, you know. But it's a progression, it's a process, or evolution. It's natural, and it is documented, you know. As a matter of fact, Jabari, I don't recall the names, but he quoted some people of the time who said our tradition descends from that, from ancient Egypt. So, but the debate is going to happen anyway, or probably, is scheduled, let's say this way. But so far, we were only introduced to the Abrahamic belief systems. We had the 1,000 years of slavery from Arab Muslims, and we had the um the 400 years or so of the transatlantic slave trade. So that's 1,400 years of slavery combined, and we basically we're dealing with on two books, the Bible and the Quran. We're not familiar with the stories from Kemet, but now we are. So we have the depictions of the people of Kemet. We can see the relationship between the let's say philosophy, African philosophy, and also one of the big point is the languages, the relationship, the relationship between the natural hieroglyphic. Hmm? Did you? Yeah. The relationship between the hieroglyphic and different African languages. So uh, we have some brothers. We have Brother Nechaneb, who is formally studying linguistics, and he's working with Dr. Obadeli Campbell, PhD in linguistics, and their endeavor is to establish the Negro Egyptian that Dr. Theophilo Benga, PhD, has presented, has proposed. So things are moving, but it's moving at a slow pace because most of our people are into the Abrahamic belief system. They just don't want to let go. You know.
Really quick. When I say arguing, I don't mean you and your channel necessarily.
Oh, I
Just
know, I know, I know, I know,
yeah.
I know that, I know that. Yeah.
But I don't want to take too long either because you said it was midnight that was like an hour ago. It was midnight, huh?
Well, it's actually in 2 minutes. It's going to be 2 a.m. You know,
Oh
but
my
you know,
God.
but I don't work on Sundays. So, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, part of the reason why we don't black people, the people I'm around the most, let me speak for them. A lot of the people are they want material comfort, and church reiterates material comfort if you believe in Jesus. Like I think they were calling it the prosperity doctrine. So it ain't always to that extent. Like you're gonna have a Bentley, you're gonna live on the coast, in a big mansion and stuff. But it's God or Jesus supplements your life. Jesus provides your needs. Jesus does the stuff that keeps you alive in a material way. And because that was the default so many times, I think that's another reason why people haven't really given up, or black people I know haven't given up to Christianity. Matter of fact, the story you
Hold on,
told.
sister, please. I'm sorry. For the last 2 or 3 minutes or so, when you're speaking, there's a sound like the crisp sound like, and I don't know if maybe one of this stuff is not plugged properly. Try now.
Test.
Well, we can see here, but it's okay. It's okay. Please
Oh
continue.
man,
But
I
it's
need
not
some new stuff.
really it's not really big, but it's just we didn't have it before, but it's okay. Just continue.
Oh, okay. Okay, hopefully it goes away. Something I was gonna say about the story you told about the Jones Plantation.
Yes.
When he got to that part, he was like, "Well, you don't know how to run a plantation. You got everything you need. You're taken care of." And I was just listening to it like if you replace Mr. Jones with Jesus, and that's part of another reason why the indoctrination of Christianity stuck so hard, because you can parallel it to a slave or owner and the slave. Same thing. Like how they say, I don't have nothing without Jesus. Okay, I don't have nothing without Mr. Jones. You know, okay, same difference in a way. There's no, it's always left to something else empowers you. You are not equipped enough to empower yourself. Therefore, the thing you were last told that empowered you, whether it was Jesus or the boss on your job or the owner on the plantation, there you have it. And the last thing is, You know, black people have been scared away from their stuff. We value entertainment, so we keep taking in entertainment, which reiterates the Judeo-Christian tropes, and it does it in a variety of ways. Christianity with, or the part of Christianity with Christmas, and even like the whole like Easter, Valentine's, you know, with love, with movies about love, and the movies that come out around the spring that kind of subconsciously tell people to get together. You know what I'm saying? And that has its own origins. But then you have the part of Christianity that's reiterated in entertainment by fear, the devil, killer movies, demons. Most people hadn't encountered the devil per se character. They never heard of a Legba before, who or a shoe, the trickster, right? They heard of Satan. And Satan had all these, Satan is the opposite of Jesus, and Satan has all these attributes and all these cast of characters that go along with him. And then we sit in these movies that reiterate it. So yeah, it's gonna be real hard for us to get away from it, because we literally re-indoctrinate ourselves with their entertainment, which is another reason why, going back to Kanye, he's a victim of his own utility in a way. Like, Kanye was an entertainer. He was used to reiterate the materialism to us and the egocentricity, and he slowly became that. And he believed it so much he didn't think he was touchable, right? And now he's found out that he is. So, in other words, somewhere along the way, we need to say entertainment is not in our best interest, because it's got us believing very stale, like you said, unproductive things, if not outright harmful. And it's even affecting the people that produce it and make this entertainment.
But you know, I'm glad you talked about those things because if we look at, for example, the Church of Scientology, their theology, their belief is just really far fetched, really weird sounding. But they are solid because they have members, committed members who follow their ways and who contribute financially and also emotionally, physically, mentally. So, if, for example, Kanye, and once again, my stance, my personal stance is that most of the things he says that sound to be off or that's controversial is because of his mental issues, you know, that he's been dealing with, and it's something that happens, you know. And with care, with treatment, then you know people can do well. But if they don't really take treatment, obviously every now and then um, they can behave in a way that they would not be behave otherwise. So if, let's say, Kanye West decided, you know, to come up with some organization and, you know, have a hierarchy and some membership and some fees, you know, because he sold millions of albums. And at one point, sometimes people feel like that's the reason why Pac was killed. Tupac, that is Tupac Shakur, but that was really some street stuff. But Tupac is reported to have said, "Well, if I can sell 5 million records, imagine what I can do with 5 million votes." It doesn't mean that the 5 million people who purchase his record will ultimately vote the same way he will indicate or encourage people to vote. But we can safely say that, you know, there might be at least half or maybe one third, which is a lot. You see, it is huge. So um, we have the Abrahamic belief system. We kind of have it on lock. You know, 2 billion believers combined. Uh, but there's millions of people who follow other traditions, like the Hindus and the Buddhists. You know, they are, you know, what they could be labeled as polytheist, you know, or polytheistic, but they are doing well, and people don't bother them because they are numerous. So yes, it's going to be a long way when we talk about, you know, Kemet or different traditional ways of life. It is achievable though. However, it will not happen overnight. You know, just like in America, black people mainly knew about Christianity, and then we had the Far Muhammad stuff, and then people started talking about Islam, which was not Orthodox Islam, but there was some precursor to that. There was the Ahmadiyya movement, you know, and the leader or founder of the Ahmadiyya movement labeled himself as some kind of Messiah or Mahdi. You see, so there was a paradigm shift, and because of the events in the 60s, um, the fact that people were fighting for civil rights and there were still cases of lynchings, you know, people rolled with that movement, and also the decline of the Gabe movement, the UNIA. So now we have some people who actually grew up like Lon Shabazz. Lon Shabazz, he was born in a family that were believers of the teaching of of Elijah Muhammad. So what I lament is when people are fence riding. You know, I'm not looking to have most of the conscious community or most of the black community uh, dealing with Kemet. You know, I don't mind if there's very few people and we can advance. You know, but we just have too many fence riders, and we have people, and I'm sure they are on some payroll. I can approve it, but I think some things will come out to the light, because when you see people going out of their ways to deter people from going into Kemet, and particularly when you have one guy who actually used to claim that, you know, um it's very fishy. It's very fishy. And I know about the jealousy, the hate, the jealousy that turned into the hate, which is obvious, and many people have seen that over the years. But now it's just really getting far. It's getting out of hand, you know. So we are Kemetic people, you know, we are being disrespected and slandered because we have a different belief, and that's wrong. Why would the Abrahamic belief system be accepted and not the Kemetic way of life, you know?
Well, I think a lot of people, I'm gonna say people in general don't understand how illegitimate most of the stuff we believe in, because um, we have feedback that comes back as though it is legitimate. Like, okay, for instance, us being on this computer right now seems like a manifestation of legitimacy to the overall system. We're able to communicate. We have, we're able to talk about blah, 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 blah. But even with the ability to do this, the system still isn't legitimate, because everything that came before it, and even the purpose of what we're doing right now, for the most part, is to strengthen a system of injustice that tricks people, that lies to people, that makes people do things that aren't right, ultimately. And that contemplation, I don't think hits people's head, because if it did, like if a lot more people understood how illegitimate, especially in America. I say America because Europe is, you're in Europe, that's France. It's its own thing. But America is a whole different type of, that's why they call it the American project so much. Because they know it shouldn't have even happened the way it happened. But it happened, oh, we can keep it going, let's keep it going, let's keep it going, let's keep it going. You see what I'm saying? If people here understood how illegitimate it was, including so-called white people, because they get played too. I've probably said that before. A lot of white people in America don't control stuff either. They just have the ability to be like, I'm white, right? You know what I'm saying? But if you take that away, they live like me and you, a lot of them. Some of them
Yes.
a little bit poor, like in
Yes.
Appalachia and everything. So what are you really talking about?
Mm.
And if we really came to that point, this is illegitimate. So if this whole thing is illegitimate, that means the food I bought from the store this morning is illegitimate even. And it is. If you can't even grow your own food and feed yourself, where's the legitimacy in having to go to the store all the time and then say, oh, well, I can't take that serious that I'll always be able to eat things. So if that's illegitimate, then by gosh, all the stuff you told me about spirituality is false. All the stuff you told me about money is false. Matter of fact, there's this meme I saved on the computer, and it's a picture out of space.
Mm. Hold
And
on,
it,
sister, hold on, please. Um, is it a wireless headset that you have?
yeah.
Can you try to unplug the USB stuff and plug it back in, because that noise I was talking about is just getting louder now. Try to say something.
Tess, is it still there?
It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's illegitimate, the spiritual stuff you told me is illegitimate. So the picture, there's a meme I saved, and said it's a picture of outer space, and there's a quarter in the place of where planet Earth should be. Like imagine outer space stars and a quarter in the middle of outer space, and then underneath it says money, and then it says human beings are the only things that pay to exist on planet Earth. What's legitimate about that? There's other ways.
And I agree with you. I agree with you, because back then we would exchange, cattle, different kind of animals, and ultimately precious stones or metal. And at one point, people came up with banks, and people were dealing with checks, and ultimately they came up with a note. We supposed to be backed up. But and there it is. So now we have this currency, and indeed we pay for damn near everything except for breathing.
Right.
But it can be different elsewhere. Here is the model. In the West, that's the model. In Africa, in some parts, it could be otherwise, and also I think in South America as well, it could be otherwise. Now it's up to the people. Are they ready to go that far? You know what I'm saying? So we just need to adapt. If we have to pay, then so be it. We pay and then we leave. But we can ultimately change the condition, because you see, when you were talking, I was thinking about, you earlier mentioned about the prosperity that Jesus will provide and so on. Now you have indeed this mention, don't worry about tomorrow and stuff like that. The birds don't worry about tomorrow. And there's also the, what did you call it again? Like Creflo Dollar and Mace was into that back then as well. But this but they might call it prosperity preaching and stuff like that. But you have these mega churches, as people who are sitting on millions of dollars, and some of them, I think, are doing stuff for their community, at least for their communities, community of worshippers. And some of them probably are doing stuff for the community at large. You know what I'm saying? But maybe more could be done. When people are really sitting on millions. Um,
Oh,
but
wait,
yes,
Shaka, let me
yes.
interject this.
Hmm.
The other part of the reason why people are still adherent to Christianity more than I would say Islam in America, especially still Black folks and other folks, is because it's not just the prosperity gospel, it's the gospel, the healing gospel. My mom, I promise, I love my mom. She meant well. She was going through things, and she gave her life to the Lord, I think, right after she got divorced. Hurt people, she, instead of hurting other people, she tried to heal herself, and she did it by becoming born again. Okay, so with that said, you know about Benny Hinn, right?
About what? Sorry.
Benny Hinn.
No.
Okay, look him up. There's a video of somebody playing a song, "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor," and it's him swinging his coat like this, and then swoosh, coming down on people like that, and then they catch the Holy Ghost and fall out.
I've seen videos like that, but yeah,
So
sometimes they say
like,
go receive, and then people just
yeah,
fall. But obviously that's fake. That's
yeah,
fake.
but look, so growing up, going back to that, remember we was talking about the Crusades and the cross? He literally called his evangelical experiences crusades.
Many people do that.
And so, well, I didn't know at the time, I was in like third grade, fourth grade. My mom would drag me back to school, mind you, man. I'm tired.
Yeah.
To a crusade, man.
Mm.
And she sang, so I'd have to sing in the choir with her. And I was literally behind him looking at the stage. And then I could see in the back, because this is in New Orleans in the 90s, I could see kind of to the back of the arena. There were hospital beds. People, listen, to get a hospital bed in an arena, you got to rent an ambulance. You got to get an ambulance to take you. This is sad crap. So this man preaching the Holy Spirit healing somebody right now, like he'd be on TV. Somebody is wearing blue, and you got a sore on your leg. Healed, you heal, receive it, right? And then at the arena, he would literally blow on the mic like that. And then you see people falling out in the audience, and then they would fall on somebody and make that person fall in this domino. But people was showing up because they were sick. This is twisted. We're talking about psychopaths. And then come to find out this man, because people was praying and sending money to try to get better, right? They taking the cash out the envelopes. And he paying people off like his brother. They said his son's girlfriend for babysitting somebody, and thousands of dollars. But Black people are stuck on that too. We won't take the time to research how to heal our bodies. Like I got friends right now. I was kind of sick a few years ago because of something I was talked into taking. And when I realized it made me sick, I went vegan. I started exercising. I haven't stopped since. I fixed myself. I took the time to research it. I have friends right now, they're just like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to trust the Lord. And what the doctor said, you see what I'm saying? So they still believe in Christianity because they won't take their health, just like other people won't find other ways of surviving without money into their own hands. They just going to give it to Jesus.
They're not even gonna try something else. And you see the things that with what you've said, this guy who's like going, yeah, receive, and everybody like falling on the ground. If you're somebody that's in the Ifa tradition, many people say, oh, that's a charlatan, that's a fake, that's a phony. But because the dude is a Christian, you know what I'm saying? All these journalists who like to do investigation about crooks, about, people who are cheating individuals, amazingly, they don't go on the cover, and look at this is fake, you know what I'm saying? That's their main thing, their main model. People swear on the Bible when they go to court in America. That's their model. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we see what happened. We need to get some clarity. And the sad thing is that um just as much as the followers of these traditions go by faith, and that includes a fear factor of going to hell if they don't follow it, uh um the people who are in charge of these institutions, particularly amongst black folks, they've been making money out of it. And sometimes it might have been from generation. So some of them, even if they come to the realization that what they are teaching is not accurate, or at least not historical, because they're making money out of it, they don't want to lose their livelihood. So, but it's a long walk. It's a long walk, but it's not impossible. But once again, the fence riders, I just cannot stand them. Christians would not accept fence riders. They will not accept somebody that says, he's a Christian and he's going to give information to the Muslims to go against them and, fence ride all the time and criticize Christians. Muslims the same way. But with the so-called conscious community or Pan-Africans, it's always a melting pot where people are trying to mix everything together. And when people say, and I think that's what I wanted to say earlier that I forgot when I said I lost my thought, you know, we've been following these traditions and we've been saying we have to get it together, we have to work together, with blah blah blah. Obviously nothing happened, nothing came into um, um, fruition. Do you say fruition? But nothing materialized. With all those scholars, all those elders and leaders that we had, obviously it's not working. It's not working because there's some things that you cannot just mix everything and shake it and there it is. So it just doesn't work like that. You know, so if people want to remain in their stuff, fine. But if I, like other, make a proposition, listen, This way of life didn't work for us. The result for us was 1400 years of slavery combined. I want to try something else. You do you, I do me. Don't vilify me for that. Just like you don't vilify the people who are not Abrahamic when they are Muslims or I'm sorry, when they are Buddhists or Hindus. You know what I'm saying? Give me the same respect. That's what I'm trying to say. Give me the same respect. You don't go and say, oh, you guys, you Hindus, you Buddhists, blah blah blah. You let them be. Why don't you let me be? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you. Just it's the same. They do that for the same reason why when I grew up, being smart or being like a person that liked to read or didn't listen to whatever was trendy was a problem too. We just really, really trained and programmed to be hypercritical again of each other. We've become the flare. And we distract ourselves with, you know, just self-imposed vitriol on each other. And we're not able to see it because I think also a part of being an African person in America is having a big ass ego and not admitting when you got something wrong with yourself.
Well, I wouldn't say it's an African stuff or black stuff. In general, people have a very hard time saying that they are wrong or they made a mistake, and it's not everybody, but on average, I would say it's a bit more difficult for people to just admit that. Some people, it's as if they're gonna die if they say I was wrong about that.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm also, trying to say it like in America,
Mm.
black people in America, but being American, it's hard to admit that,
Or compared to
here,
other group of people, yeah, there's
like
an
just in
elitist
general.
mentality. Yes, yeah, I have witnessed that elitist mentality. They usually think
Hmm.
that they know better than and anybody else, like any other nations. And yeah,
Hmm.
that's a reality. That's why Reggie told Sekou, "You talk to your people, I talk to my people. You don't have any standing in our community." The same people who praise Shenkanta Diop,
Hmm.
Diofada Benga, who are Africans from the motherland. But that's the fence riding. But keep going, sister.
No, I'm glad you said that because that's a big thing. Clubs. I'm glad you said that. Like whether we talking about the Vatican or the Girl Scouts or I mean, when I was younger in school, it was about, well, you can't come to my party, like you're not friends with me. Like you said, and then you just moving forward into the future, you have adults saying you talk to your people, I talk to mine, and you can't talk to us. And then somebody mentioned the guy that was on the channel before, he mentioned gossip, and I remember seeing just things on YouTube with gossip. And that was a saying people had going, you can't sit with us. Like all this separation, and not being able to admit maybe I'm wrong, maybe I could rethink it, or just asking questions like, well, what do you know? Like that apparently you have to be a more so humble of a person to want to ask questions because it's an admission of what you don't know, and just people just don't want to do that. But
Yeah, and it's true. A lot of people have a hard time saying I don't know, and saying I don't know is one of the most intelligent thing that a person can say.
mhm.
Um, and the gossip, that's one of the things that can bring the most views. I mean, even like for example, when Chief X, said that I was lying, and I challenged him, and he came and we spoke, and he agreed to come. Uh, he did not show up, but there were so many people in it. There were more people watching the live stream than usual, and the video probably, I don't know if he had like 500 views after, but just by putting his name, he's not like the most famous guy in the conscious community. So you can imagine if you have a video and you put names of people from the conscious community who are quite well known, who go on lots of platforms, and then if you step out of the so-called conscious community and you start talking about celebrities, actors, singers, athletes, then that's going to bring you even more views. You know what I'm saying? So it is very tempting. And I understand why people will talk about them, because at the end of the day, the gossiping thing is not exclusive to black folks. People like to hear about those celebrities in their life and anything that's going on, whether it's drama or not. And that's just the way it is. So nowadays, it's as if like most of the ancient history stuff is more or less figured out, and it's like, let's leave now and find out what's going on. So people are happy and they are in the comfort zone. So that's why, like, I like I've been saying, when I'm going to museums, and I went recently with my friend. My friend is with actually a white lady. A white lady. She's very interested. They had a child together. And my friend is black, by the way. Um, so they had a child together, and she wanted to. She's very very interested in ancient Egypt. So we did the tour, and it was the same, and it has never changed. When I go to museums, when I go to the Louvre, that was the Louvre this time that I went to with them, you barely see black people. And when you see black people, they are mainly from America or other countries, And the Louvre Museum is really in the center of Paris. Not far from that, you have a place we call Châtelet where you see black people all over.
Mm.
So, and all these other countries that I went through in different countries in Europe, it's always the same. When you go to a museum, you barely see black people. Recently, I went to a conference where you have two Egyptologists. Funny thing is that one of them, the one who started, is a former student of the second one, and now they're colleagues because he's a PhD now. But anyway, um, very nice conference. The second guy, Dominique Fourré, he's very accustomed to TV stations. He's well known. He's very knowledgeable. He reads the Greek like like we say, yes, yes, y'all. That's kind of, I don't want to say it's like he's fluent in the Greek. You know what I'm saying? He speaks Arabic very well as well. He might not agree if I say if he speaks fluently, but it's very fluid, very yeah, fluid. And of course he's an Egyptologist, so he can read the Meta Nature, and it was free of charge. It was free of charge, and I think I saw two other black person,
Mm.
and some people came with their children. There was a guy, it was most likely his grandson, but then later on there was some young girls and some boys as well. And in the museums as well. Sometimes I see that. I see people going there with their children very young and tell them about the artifacts that are on display. And I recall seeing one uh, sister who was from France, but she was from like the province area. She lived in the Paris outskirts before, but now she relocated. So she was showing to her son, and I spoke to her a little bit. What I'm saying? I said, and I told her, usually you don't really see black people bringing their children, and I lament that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We can definitely get some clarity. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but without the fence riders, we will do well. We will do well. I mean, there's some people, I don't want to say names, but they have Kemetic names, and they've been pushing for Kemet and Africa in general. And nowadays, unfortunately, the brother is like,
Well, let's talk about something good real quick. So, are you getting a master's or a PhD? Or
not yet,
oh,
not
okay,
yet, not yet.
okay,
Yeah, I'm just starting. So there's going to be some other degrees, certificate before.
okay.
But yeah,
Well,
but
it's gonna be a breeze for you.
well, for the language part, yeah, it should be
Yeah,
very easy. But it's a lot of reading. It's a
yeah.
lot of reading. Yes, that's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. So yeah, I'm liking it so far, but it's only the beginning. So it's gonna take time. It's gonna take a few years to get to an acceptable, let's say a level that I will be satisfied with.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't mind going for the masters. Now the PhD, when I see the
yeah.
support and the interest that I get with with all that I do after 18 years, I'm like, it might not be worth it. But I might
Mm,
change my mind, because that's going to be years from now.
yeah,
So but sometimes I'm like, I might just get some credentials, and then I can say, okay, I have credentials in the field. I don't know. I mean, I kind of changed my mind a lot. That's my passion, however. But I don't know. I'll see. Sometimes I'm thinking, some stuff might be just too early for people. Even the stuff that I talk about
Mm.
on a regular basis, dealing with the meta-nature and stuff like that, it might just be a bit too early for many people. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But I'll see. But I'm very glad to be in the field. I'm loving it, and yeah, I see where it goes. I see where it goes.
That's good. I'm gonna get ready to go. Hold on, I want somebody to say hi to you. Little Bastet
Hello,
here.
Bastet. Little
Well, her name
Miu.
is Perfect, but
Perfect. Oh, so it's Neferu.
yeah, but she's still yeah. I feel so happy. I would every time I see her because I always wanted a black cat
Mm,
when I was young. My mama, which we know about now, she oh no, that ain't happening.
mm.
Black cat, oh no.
But the funny thing is that when I wasn't a father yet, I used to think, okay, when I get a house, I'll probably get a black cat and call the cat Sekhmet.
Oh,
But then I
oh,
was like, okay, maybe I should call her Sekhmeti, so this
oh.
it doesn't sound like there's any disrespect towards the nature of Sekhmet,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Say bye bye. Bye bye. Yeah.
But thanks a
Uh,
lot for calling, sister. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
You gotta go to bed now. It's kind of late.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I sleep there. I got
Oh,
some some files that I have. I want to
yeah.
classify them. But
Mhm. Yeah. It
um,
was a good talk, Shaka.
yeah. If more people could call me, it will help. I mean, I kind of know what's going on with our people, but on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with our people. But people love the hype. They love the hype, so they will go where the hype is, and that's the way it is. But I'm quite satisfied with what I'm doing, what I'm presenting, because I'm trying to stick with the facts. But uh, it's still growing. It's growing. There's still more views, more participation, and maybe my expectation is like too big, and I'm doing stuff by myself. Other platforms, they usually have a few people. So being completely independent, I think I'm kind of doing well. But I
Mhm.
wish it would be just on a way higher level. But hey,
Yeah.
in life you cannot have everything, so at some point you have to be satisfied with what you have.
Well, I'll end by saying this, to the audience, reading is more important than watching entertainment. And then, like for you, Shaka, just always think of it as you doing the right thing, because if you weren't, you'd be more popular. I mean, you could get popular. I'm not saying you can't get popular,
I understand what you mean. Yes, I
but
understand.
this is proving your integrity to me.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
do I and
To us in it,
how would I say it? I would say
getting it fed.
no. I was gonna say Nefer cat. Good job.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're doing a good job. All right.
To
Tell
us in
the
it.
wifey and the baby I said hello.
All right.
All right. Peace.
Thanks, sister. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm gonna put an end to this live stream. It's been a long time I didn't that I've live streamed for that long. It's 3 hours and 31 minutes so far. We have 8 people online. So stay safe, stay healthy, and if I am allowed to by the nature, I will definitely holler back at you. If you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. To a to the nature hotel.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving middle nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at, Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future.
I just had my first meta lecture class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other meta lecture lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the meta lecture, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody is interested in learning the meta lecture, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medunetia classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in-depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class, and all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medunetia class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/ma'at4ever.